dust of the veldt where the wind does moan. We've carved out a life in the soil and stone. They call us names, but we stand up tall. For faith and family, we've weathered it all. Raise the flag high, let the colors fly. With our hands we've built under God's own sky. No insult can break what's forged in our soul. Africa and her heart steadfast and whole. They say we're dogs, they say we're small, but we've built empires and answered the call. With the earth in our palms and the sun on our backs, we march to the rhythm of unbroken tracks. Through the storms and strife we hold the line. The roots run deep like the old oak spine. Pride in our spirit, love in our veins. The faith of our fathers forever remains. Raise the flag high, let the colors fly. With our hands we've built under God's own sky. No insult can break what's forged in our soul. Africa and her heart steadfast and whole. Through the years and miles we've walked this road, bearing the burdens, carrying the load. But the light of our fire, it will never fade. For the strength of our people will never be swayed.
Sunsets and skies so blue, mountains whisper stories of dreams so true. From oceans roaring wild to valleys deep, a heartbeat of a nation that will not sleep. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The soil holds our history, roots run so long. A melody of freedom, we're singing strong. They may curse the land with lies they weave, but we hold the truth in what we believe. Their crowns may crumble, their thrones may fall, for the power is the people's above it all. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. People sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream.
folks, welcome back. It's once again time for the Kaffee Klatsch here on Sunday, July 20th, 2025. We'll see how many people continue to have interest in this program. We'll discuss it. Only one major development over the course of this past week, which we'll discuss. But there's a question here from Peter Krieger. He says, I've been working seasonally in the U.S. on H-2B visas as a truck driver. What are my options? Okay. And related to what? If by any chance refugee status gets declined, will it affect future visas? No, it will have no impact on your visa. You're not being granted access to the U.S. based on your skills as a refugee, and you're not being denied access if you don't meet the refugee threshold. That has nothing to do with your ability to work as a migrant worker, as a temporary worker. One has nothing to do with the other. So, yeah, I think I've answered your question. If I haven't, please ask it again in a different fashion. No, people can ask all their stupid questions they want today. It's fine. That wasn't a stupid question. That was a good question. So people are welcome to do that. All right. So I don't see any other ones. People just chatting. Welcome back to the program, folks. Okay. All right. I was wondering how life from refugee to citizen to retirement works regarding savings for retirement. Not sure what you mean. Life from refugee to citizen to retirement. Don't understand what that means. That really doesn't help me out, Mr. Echo. What are you, 22, 72? I don't understand what you're getting at. You don't have to be an American citizen to have retirement benefits. Americans who work, or foreign nationals who work in the U.S. and have 10 qualifying years of benefits get a Social Security check. Hey, Ronaldo sent his viewers over. Wasn't expecting that. Thanks for joining us, folks. See if we go up about 2 or 3 people. Hey, Ronaldo, are you here? Yeah, so thanks. Very kind of him to do that. I do appreciate that. I did send my viewers over to him at the end. I went longer on my stream earlier than I anticipated. That wasn't my plan. So we wound up talking about something, and it went 15 minutes longer than I expected. So anyway, so I had not had time to eat any lunch. I said I was going to eat, but I didn't have time to do that. So I don't understand the question, Mr. Echo. If you have 10 qualifying years of Social Security benefits, then you get a check regardless where you live. It'd just be in dollars, and it'll be forwarded to your account if you're overseas. So that's Social Security. But Social Security is not retirement. That's a supplemental. I mean, people need to get beyond the concept that you're going to live off of Social Security. It's not enough to live off of. It simply is not. You have to save and invest for your own future, or get yourself a retirement plan from an employer. So, Mr. Echo, I really can't answer the question because you've made it too vague. Anything else? I don't see any other questions here. All right. Back down to the bottom. Okay. Did you get in touch with the originals recently? How are they doing? Yeah, I've not talked to any of the original 59ers for the past week. About this time last week, I did speak to 1 or 2 of them. Yeah, so no, but I haven't really. Thea's been quite quiet. She hasn't talked, so. And others. But I'm about to reach out to several of them now because of this effort by CNN. Not that I'm aware of. I'm not aware that they would contact you by WhatsApp. Never heard of that. Hey, Ronaldo, there he is there. Cool. Thank you for sending your viewers over. Robert Garaber, welcome to you. Elizabeth. If we have money in South Africa and we open a bank account in America, can we just transfer the money to a new account? Yeah, that's relatively easy and straightforward to do. But you can't open a bank account in America unless you have a Social Security number. You have to have a Social Security number to open a bank account in America. I tried to open a bank account in South Africa, or I didn't try. I inquired about it. I can't open a bank account in South Africa. You have to have a work permit to do that. What a bunch of nonsense. I can open a bank account in Austria, in the Channel Islands, in the United Kingdom, in the Caymans. Don't even have to live there. But I can't open a bank account in South Africa unless I live in South Africa and have a work permit. That's just total bullshit. But that's South Africa. But yeah, you can have a bank account. You have to have a Social Security number and a mailing address. That's it. And you can transfer them. There's lots of ways to transfer your money. You can do the electronic funds transfer. You can also send it through a third party, so, a service that does that. But yeah, you're able to do that. That's correct, Elizabeth. Okay, maybe a little info in medical. Yeah, I haven't gotten much further in that video I'm making on the finance. That's still forthcoming. I'm working on that, moving money around such. But I've got a couple sources that are providing information. I'm just waiting to hear back from them. Health insurance deductibles. Is $1,000, $2,000 deductible quite good? Yeah, $1,000 deductible is fantastic for medical. It really is. It really is. Then you also have catastrophic caps. That's something you need to know about too. That's something, NMA, you need to really focus on. If you have health insurance, you're looking for medical insurance in America, catastrophic cap is what you need to do. So like if you come down with cancer and it costs $3 million, if your catastrophic cap is $50,000, you're screwed. if your catastrophic cap is $3,000 annually. So my catastrophic cap is $3,000 annually. The irony for that is that I'm not supposed to be paying for healthcare. It's supposed to be free. I'm retired military. It's supposed to be free for the rest of my life for myself and my family members, but it's not. I have to buy insurance, and then I have to wait for the insurance to approve for me to get care. And I have to attend a military clinic and wait endlessly for my appointments. I just waited 7 weeks for an appointment with my general practitioner, who's a really good doctor. And I spent 20 minutes with him, and I got x-rays, and then I have to wait until August 8th for him to call me to tell me the results of those x-rays. When the x-rays were sent digitally from Carlisle, Pennsylvania to Walter Reed Hospital in Maryland, and at Walter Reed, they were reviewed within an hour by an x-ray technician, and the results annotated within a couple hours and sent back. So the same day, but they were closed by the time I got the same day they had my results, worst case the next day. And now I have to wait 3 weeks, over 3 weeks to get my results. And then when I get that, it will determine whether I need an MRI or not. So in the meantime, I'm waiting for authorization for an MRI because it costs hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, and the insurer has to approve it. But that's just nonsense. I mean, this injury is caused by my service to the nation. Yet I have to walk around in agony and discomfort and unable to physically exercise, raising my blood pressure and also, weakening my health status because I can't get care. But you need to worry about catastrophic caps and copays. I have a $42 or $38 copay every visit. Even if the bill is only $45, I pay $42, but it's never that low. It's always higher. Does that answer that question? When will the U.S. government provide more information about the refugee program? Never. Never, night. They're protecting the program, the integrity of it. Too many people with big mouths. There's usually not been much information. No, there hasn't been much information. They're not going to share it. You're going to have to wait until the 2025 President's Report on the Refugee and Asylum Program is submitted to Congress in 2026 before you probably hear anything publicly disclosed about the number of South Africans and how much money was spent on it. Okay. Jakob Splits, good to see from you. Thank you for your kind words. I'm trying to get back. I missed some chat here and it went jump. Maybe a little medical, okay. Peter says, seasonal nature, so if refugee status gets declined, won't they see it as the dual intent? No. Okay, first off, Peter, do you know anybody that's been declined? I don't know anybody that's been declined for this program. They have two different bases. Now, okay, I should clarify that, Peter. If you are denied a refugee status because you're a criminal, a pedo, a robber, a rapist, a murderer, well, yeah, it will affect other visas. But if you're denied simply because they didn't find sufficient basis to grant you refugee status, it has no impact whatsoever. They're two separate things. It's like, you want to buy a Toyota and you want to buy a Tesla. Two separate things, unrelated. All right? If you are denied a visa to come to the U.S. for H-2A, unless it was for overstaying your visa or committing a criminal act or being a threat to U.S. security, it should also conversely have no impact on your refugee status. Refugees are not coming. See, you guys got to get this out of your head. This is the problem. Please listen to me, okay? Please listen. For once, people, please listen, because some of you don't listen. Refugee status is not a fucking immigration program. It is not immigration. It is not immigration. Coming to America as a refugee has nothing to do with immigration. You are not coming as an immigrant. We don't care that you're a great worker. We don't care that you're a lazy fuck. We don't care. We don't care that you're crippled, that you're able, that you can't speak English, that you're Muslim, you're Jew, you're Christian. We don't care. It does not matter. If you qualify for refugee status and are granted refugee status, you come to America despite all those things or in spite of all those things. It is not immigration. So if you're denied refugee status, it does not affect immigration status. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Unless it's for a valid reason that would prevent you becoming a refugee, a temporary resident. Does that make sense? People don't listen. I've said this over and over again. All right? You are not an immigrant. This is not a freebie. This is not a cheap way to evade paying tens of thousands of dollars for permanent residency in America. It's not. In effect, if you get it, it does do that, but that's not the purpose of it. The purpose of the refugee program is not to let you come to America. We don't want you here. We don't want any of you people here. It's not what it's for. It's not to let you immigrate here. It's because you're in jeopardy. I don't know why people don't get that. It's because you're in jeopardy. Maybe because of propaganda in South Africa that, that nobody's, crime affects everyone. It has nothing to do with crime. Oh, but why farmers? It has nothing to do with farmers. Well, how come just white people? It's racist. And nothing to do with white people. It has nothing to do with immigration. You are not immigrating to America. You are here as a guest to protect you. We're putting a blanket of protection over top of you. That's what we're doing. And very lucky for you, you get the same benefits and same opportunities as every American citizen, minus the right to vote. Hopefully that clears it up for people. Okay. Can you elaborate on how the Kenyan NGO operates? Do they arrange the interviews? NFC? Yes, they will schedule the interviews. They will send you the email to give the release for your background investigation. They'll schedule all your events, and they're likely also to book your ticket. But the Kenyans are currently working out of Kenya, but that might not always be the case. Okay, does that make sense? It's an NGO that works for Church World Services. Okay. Dark Seedling, can you elaborate on how I just answered that question. Okay. I've been offline for the last few weeks. Anything changed that I should be aware of? Yes, Gideon. I don't know what you've missed, but I can tell you over the past week, we did get confirmation. The Amerikaners announced this, and unfortunately, they didn't tell me about it, so it forced me, after getting hundreds of messages, to research this and contact American officials who confirmed, in fact, that what's happening is that they're relying on Church World Services to do some of the processing. So it's very possible that you will get a phone number coming from Kenya. So I think 254 is a country code from Kenya. So if you get a phone call from Kenya and you're interested and you put a statement of interest in, I would recommend that you answer the phone. Does that help? Told Ronaldo that Chris is back. He said you should slow down at your age, but he sounded like an old topic. Yeah, Ronaldo, he just can't handle it. He's still here, I think. Okay. Marty is saying, thanks for keeping me saying. Well, it's my pleasure. Hey, Val, what's up? Lana says, evening, please give advice. Single mom here, 2 sons, 17, 21, best state for us that's moderate in temperature. Didn't you ask that question in the last stream and I answered it? You don't get a say. Why do people ask this question? You don't get a say. Why don't you come to America and find out what it's like before you start making decisions about where you're going to live? They're going to put you where they want to put you. Unless you think you're going to be able to ask and go, then fine. Appreciate that you trust me to ask, Lana. So I'd suggest Kentucky or Tennessee. What state is good in Kenya? Has no bearing. Corday Locke, welcome to you. Lost my phone and need an upgrade anyway. I'm sure if they're not available on phone, they'll contact you by email. Well, I hope so, Maze. I'm sorry to hear that. If one has enough cash to buy a house for cash in the USA, would it be better to buy the house and save money for retirement? Well, it depends on the interest rate, Fabian. Okay, very, very good question. Part of the problem with the house loan is it's kind of like the rule of 78. You're paying interest. Well, it's not really rules. You're paying interest up front. So, for instance, when I started making my payments, I was paying over $1,200, $1,300 a month in interest. If I had been able to pay the house off without draining all my savings, then I wouldn't have that $1,300 a month in interest, which over a year, $16,000, second year, $30,000. Yeah, you wind up paying twice as much or more for a house depending on interest rate. And I have a low interest rate. If you have an interest rate north of 6%, yeah, if you can pay cash for a house, yeah, I mean, unless the house has got a lot of problems, it's probably not a bad idea. But bear in mind, you are responsible for what would normally be put in an escrow account. That's the norm here. Most people don't really own the house. The bank owns the house. You put money into an escrow account. They collect the money. They pay your local property taxes. They pay your insurance to make sure that you stay current. If you don't have a loan, that's your responsibility, and it's easy to fall behind. So anyway, yeah, it depends how much kind of money. I mean, who's got $400,000 sitting around to buy a house? I don't. In fact, I didn't have the cash at all when I bought this house, so I rolled up the funding fee. The VA, people talk about the benefits, the benefits of being a veteran in the Veterans Administration, because you don't have to put any money down. Normally you have to put down 20% or more of the home loan to buy a house. So if you buy a $300,000 house, you're normally expected to provide $60,000 cash to get that loan. So you have skin in the game. Well, with the VA, you don't have to put anything down because the government guarantees that the veteran's loan will be paid off. They just come after the veteran if they default. So that's generous. But the problem is that they don't tell you that there's no risk for the government because there's a funding fee. So the funding fee goes up every time. So last time I bought 2 houses. Bought a house in 1995 and I bought another house in 2015. 20 years later. Only exercised that benefit twice. And the first time it cost me like $2,300. The next time it cost me $8,000. $8,000 I had to pay the VA to back my loan. What a scam. And people don't realize this. They think it's a great deal. And every time it goes up. So if I buy another house with my VA loan, then I have to pay even more. It's ridiculous. It's a scam. It's an absolute scam. I am at no risk of defaulting on my VA loan. Not even remotely possible. Not even remotely possible. I could go in the backyard and dig up my Krugerrands and pay off. Did I say that out loud? To pay off my loan. There are no Krugerrands in my backyard. There are no Krugerrands in my backyard. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so it depends. You have to look at how long you're going to retire. If you're 25 and you've got $300,000 to buy a house and you can avoid paying a 6% annual interest rate, and you've got 30 years worth of investment earnings to get and to invest, then I would pay cash for the house. If you're 70, and they can give you a loan at 4%, you might want to take the loan. Might be better off. You make more money investing. I make more off of not savings, but of investments, percentage-wise, than I pay on the loan. So, it's a question of what you want to do. Anna says, if I'm in pension here, 65, do I get pension there? No, you don't get a pension, but you get Social Security supplemental, and there's other programs in different places to help. Not an expert on that. We're working on that one. But no, you've not earned a pension here. Why should you get a pension? It's a fair question, though, Anna. It wasn't meant to be snarky at you. Yeah, but you do get like Social Security supplemental, and you get other things. So not really sure how it goes from there. No, you can't invest in America without a Social Security number. You can't get a mutual fund. You can't get a bank account. You can't get a credit card. You can't get a brokerage account. No, you can invest in America in a foreign holding. You can have a brokerage account that can buy American stocks, American bonds. You can do it that way, but you can't invest in America unless in an American account unless you have a Social Security number or a taxpayer identification number. You can get that, a TIN, which is the same as Social Security number essentially. The 59 want to focus and give their lives up. Yes, they do. Pat Meister says, would the timeline question be used as a deciding factor with regard to selection? I believe you've addressed it. What timeline? Are you talking about the statement of interest? Can you go in 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12 months? No. That's simply a tool for them to try to get a handle on all the people who applied and who they might be able to get in the hopper. That's all. Sean Baker, orthopedic surgeon, but prefers healing by means of diet and lifestyle. I have no idea who Sean Baker is or where to find him, Giddy, but thank you for the advice. I'm going to see a sports medicine doctor. I have a Social Security number. Can I use a friend's address in the U.S. to open a bank account? That should be fine as long as your friend's willing to accept it, Justainer. If your friend's willing to accept that address, accept and get the statements, because you have to have a physical address. You can't have a post office box. You must have a physical address. You can have a post office box to mail things, but you're not here to have a post office box. And plus, you'd have to clean it out all the time. If you have a friend, if you have a Social Security number, you've been in the U.S., and you have a friend who's willing to let you use our address, then yeah, there you go. Bear in mind, though, that you then become susceptible for taxation in the state that you do that. So if you have a friend in Tennessee where there's no income tax, I'd suggest Tennessee, or Texas, or Florida, I suggest it. But if you have a friend in Pennsylvania, not me, who will let you use their address, not me, then you'll have to pay Pennsylvania 3% income tax on any earnings on your bank account. Does that help? Is it normal for embassy to phone and just ask for passport numbers and birth dates? And what's your reason for waiting on leave? That sounds odd to me, Clarence. That sounds odd to me. But, I mean, you're probably not giving me all the information from the phone call you got. Did you get a name of somebody? They tell you where they're calling from? What kind of accent do they have? And also, a lot of people are paranoid about being scammed. Who has your information? I mean, you should use your good judgment on these phone calls. Can a friend open an account under his name and just transfer money back? Not legally, James. Not legally. A friend can open a bank account, but when that money moves across, there's taxation that comes with it. You can only gift so much money per year. $10,000 per year, I think, is the limit on gifting. And then you pay taxes. Thank you, Jacobus Brits. Okay. Ashley says, Colonel, if my girlfriend and I have filled out a statement of interest, when will we hear from someone been waiting for a call? Well, Ashley, you have to understand tens of thousands, if not over 100,000 people have sent statements of interest in. There's only a handful of people working on this program. So, I can't tell you when to expect a call. They're picking them at random is what we've been informed by a leak from the State Department. I don't know if that's true. I didn't ask my sources if that was the case. I was busy focused on the Kenya connection. It was more important to discuss that. plus a few other issues. But no, I mean, it takes time to get to people. So, I mean, if you did on the 12th of May, 12th of June, 12th of July, you've only waited less than 3 months. I mean, if you go to the Kenya site that the RSC puts up, the Regional Resettlement Center there that works for World Church Services, they have presentations, and I put those up the other day when I talked about this, and they say this is a long process normally. You guys, I mean, look, Ashley, I appreciate your question, but people sit in camps in Kenya, they go and file paperwork out and ask to go to America, and they wait years for an answer. They wait years. We have people that have been waiting 2 months and they're impatient. I don't know what to tell you, folks. This is not an immigration program. So go about your lives, live your life as best you can, and wait to hear. That's the only advice I can give, Ashley. It's the only advice I can give. Your girlfriend filled out a statement of interest. Are you married to your girlfriend? When you say girlfriend, because you're not going to go together. They don't do partners. You need to both be adults and you both have to fill out the form. One of you might get a call, one might not. It's just the way it goes. Where did that go? They just jumped on me here. I must be way behind in the chat here because that really jumped a long way. See, this is what happens when the stupid thing the default turns off the timestamps. I can't see it. There it is. I got it, 12:13. Okay, well, I'm way behind. That's like 15 minutes ago. Okay, catastrophic cap. Yes, you got it right. So is this like a cap on cover? Is this where they only cover up? No. You got it backwards. Backwards. Your catastrophic. Yeah, it can be that way. That's your payment. I'm talking about your payment. You have to look and see what your maximum you have to pay out. So the insurance plans normally say the maximum you pay out. So what you're talking about is a crappy dental insurance we have here. Well, we'll only pay $300 of your root canal. You pay the rest. That's not even insurance. That's a scam. But that's what we have for dental insurance. It's terrible here in America, dental insurance. But for health insurance, you have to look see your catastrophic cap, the max amount of money you'd have to pay out for something in a year. Okay? No, it's not liable. They're liable for the rest. You're liable up to this point. They don't pay anything up to that point. You pay, and then they pay. Yep. It's so a deductible, essentially, an annual deductible. But they don't call it deductible because each time you have a deductible, each visit, you have a copay or deductible, and then you have a maximum you pay per year. So for me, it's $3,000, which is actually pretty good. I've never reached that yet. 60, healthy and willing to work as long as you can. What is the old age care like in USA? Cycling journeys? That's an odd question for you to ask me. There are 100 million old people in this country living in 50 states, 4 territories, in wildly varying climates with wildly varying levels of care from different peoples. I mean, you can get fantastic care here for old folks. You can get also shitty care. It depends where you live and who you turn to. I mean, there's private, there's state, there's old home folks. We have a veterans home for veterans in Michigan from the VFW. We have a veterans home for military. We have old folks homes right down the street from me. I mean, I couldn't possibly answer that question for you, Cycling Journeys. Are old people valued? They're valued more than they are in many cultures. I'll give you that. Hey, Gabi, what's going on? I need some advice. A 16-year-old just found out she is pregnant. Will that interfere with her application? Father's 19. Crap, where did that go? Damn it. Frickin' YouTube. Ugh. Where'd it go? There it is, 12:14. 16 knows pregnant with interfere with the application. Father's 19. His parents say I can no longer take my child with. Of course it will affect. Of course it will affect. If your 16-year-old is pregnant by a 19-year-old, first off, he would go to prison in America. That's statutory rape in America in many states. Not all. So, but that's not going to happen here, Angelique. Yeah, because now she's carrying a child and she doesn't have a say. She has half a say. So he has to legally sign permission over to allow her to take the child. Otherwise, she won't be able to go. Does that help you? I mean, it doesn't help, but does it explain it? Yep. Wow. 19-year-old knocking up a 16-year-old. Not that outrageous. Right? Because the praise of what rights we have is she's a minor. You don't have any rights because she's carrying a minor. And when she gives birth to that child has rights, and the father has rights to that child. So you're going to have to get the father's permission in order to take that child out. Okay. Eric, you know the answer. Can severely disabled people apply? Yes. And be accepted as refugees. Again, this fixation, this fascination with, ability to work has nothing to do with refugee status. A lot of people come here are unable to work. It's not about your ability to do things. It's about the danger you're in. Well, Jeannie, it's premature for me to tell you the cheapest way to send things money. It's premature for me. One way to do it is XE. They transfer money. That's one of many sites that do it. You don't get a great rate in the U.S. What you need to do is get the interbank rate by transferring money through banks. That's the best way to do it. Erica, your question is not applicable. I don't know what you're asking there. You're asking is the 10,000 once off. 10,000, I'm not sure what you're getting at. 10,000 is the amount of money you can carry of financial instruments into the United States without declaring it. Anything over 10,000 you must declare. You can bring in millions of dollars, but you're going to have to answer an immigration why you got a suitcase full of $1 million. That's you're going to have to answer for that, and you're going to have to file a customs form, and you might be taxed on it. You can take up to 1 million rand a year, I think, out of South Africa or something like that. No detail if there's given statement interest. Suspect Kenya calls to obtain more detail. That's correct, 360. But I wasn't in the phone call, so I'm not going to tell the person that they're okay because they didn't explain to me the details of the phone call. But they should be fine. Okay, 12:15 going on. Has the time increased from phone call to the forum? There's no time. There's no time, Christian Peter say. It hasn't increased. It hasn't decreased. There's no set time. We have people who filled in PRN emails who have never got a phone call. We have people who filed on the 12th of May and have not gotten a phone call. We have people who filed their stuff in June and have gotten a phone call and have been processed and now live in America. And then before you even get to the next question, well, are they suffered crime? Were they raped and murdered family members? Were they robbed? No. You don't get higher in the queue because life's been miserable for you. You don't get lower in the queue because you've done relatively well. The queue is about those suffering unjust racial discrimination, and we don't know how they're picking names, but it appears that they're pulling randomly. And we've had someone claim that is the case, but we can't verify that. So the logic would indicate that is the case because of the way that people are showing up who've gotten phone calls, okay? I'm howling. So, Christian, we have no idea. There's no time limit on this. Who is dark seating? I don't see any dark seating here. Andre, thank me for the video about the RSC. You're welcome. I know this is an immigration thing, but it will be interesting when the report comes out on how many left and what the impact. Yeah, it will be interesting, but I don't think we're going to get that information for years. Dylan wants me on my lawn. Mandy, hello to you. Yes, you can only vote if you're a U.S. citizen. Unless you live in New York or Chicago, then they don't care. Those are criminals there. Peter says, best answer I've been able to find so far. Much appreciated. Well, it's my pleasure, Peter. I'm glad I was able to answer your question. Thanks, and please hit the like button. Okay. My wife wants to stay with her animals, and I want to work and stay in America and send money to her account and send the animals to get them assorted to come over. Well, there's no question there. You made a statement, Ruben. You didn't ask a question. You said your wife wants to stay and you want to send money. There's no question there. Are you asking me, can you come over as a refugee and leave your wife behind? Yeah, you can. She can leave you behind too. As a refugee, normally the way it works is within 12 months, you can sponsor a family member, an immediate family member or family members to come over with you within 12 months. So if your plan, Ruben, is to come over on your own and work, and then because your wife's going to stay with the pets, and then you raise enough money to pay for the pets to come over, and then both come over, well, that's a very plausible approach. Very plausible, but it comes fraught with danger. If the program ends, which I don't think is likely because Trump will be president during this time frame, if the program ends, then future people can't come over. And that does happen from time to time. If the program gets suspended, then they can't come over. So which is more important, your pets or your wife? Sounds like the pets are more important. Ruben, you didn't ask a question. You said it's just a question. There was no question. You made statements, and I've done my best to divine through clairvoyance what your question actually was, playing the role of Karnak here. Just waiting for our call patiently, says Peter LaRue. Dark Seedling says, thank you. You're welcome, Dark Seedling. Okay. Yes, polls are anonymous. Nobody will know. Have you received a phone call? Have you completed the SOI and subsequently received a telephone call from USA? Okay, there you go. All right. Did not. All right, so there you go. I left the poll last answer, so everybody can answer the poll, because if you didn't do a statement of interest because you don't want to be a refugee, or you're not planning on, you can answer that too. So everybody can answer this. Did you get it? Yes, no, and you did not complete statement of interest. So everybody can vote in this. 954 of you currently here, you can vote in it. Are there more NGOs joining the program? No. This NGO didn't join the program. This NGO was already contracted by the U.S. government. They've just diverted some of the resources to take care of this. Peter, 14 Rand super sticker. Thank you for that, Peter. I appreciate that 14 Rand. It's kind of you. No need to spam. Just give the Colonel some time to get to all the questions. Exactly. Many people now fear that they will not get in the program and get left behind. Yeah, sure. Well, we're out of it. Yeah, and what were they fearing on February 6th? To my knowledge, they're not doing interviews in Cape Town, but also to my knowledge, they're doing telephonic interviews. So no need to worry about where you're at. What does Kenya have to do with this refugee program? Well, Sumatra, I would encourage you to watch the videos that I produce. I mean, I go to a lot of trouble to do this, and then people show up here and try to circumvent everything. So where's it at here? The real story behind the Kenyan angle. Here's the link, and I encourage people to go watch it. I will talk about that in a few minutes, though. But I mean, it's very lame for people not to watch the videos. Very lame. So let me go ahead and pin that. That's message pin at the top. But I will answer that question here shortly. Okay. Sending money to my wife. Money to get Animals America. Okay, that's another statement, Ruben. It's not a question. You can send money to your wife. Western Union, MoneyGram, through a bank account. Absolutely. No, it's not tomato juice. It's V8 juice. But it is heavily full of tomatoes, celery, carrots, all kinds of stuff. V8. I've heard with it, it's a cocktail, vegetable juice. I've heard with big new beautiful Basan bill application can surpass $1,000 plus applications, and then there's more costs. What? I've heard with the new big beautiful bill asylum application can surpass 1,000 plus. What is for FR applications? And then there's more cost. There's no cost for refugees. There is cost for asylum, and $1,000 is nothing. It's the tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees that you have to pay as an asylum seeker that people just look past. Thank you for patiently. You're very welcome there. Is that Etienne Bronkhorst? My pleasure. Thank you for the 70 Rand. Yeah, asylum is not a good path. It's the low acceptance rate. It takes a long time to do. Initially, you're not authorized to work for minimum 5 months, 6 months, the earliest you can possibly work if they allow that. And you're behind millions of fake asylum seekers who have to get their day in court. And immigration customs enforcement are sitting outside immigration courts arresting the fake ones who get denied. And given the fact that even valid claims are denied at a high rate because you're not innocent, you're guilty until proven innocent. When you go to an adversarial asylum court hearing, you are assumed to be guilty. You have no basis to be in America. So make your case. You have to convince the judge. The judge is not a learned legal scholar in many cases. Judge could be someone like me, who's appointed to that position to get through these cases. So I don't know why people think asylum is a good idea. It's a dumbass idea. It's a stupid frickin' plan to try to become an asylum seeker. It's moronic. When someone hands you a gift of refugee status that costs you nothing, that gives you the same benefits as Americans, allows you to work instantaneously the moment you arrive in America, has people who will pick you up at the airport, take you with transportation to your new accommodation, make sure you get settled in, help you understand how electricity works, how gas bills work, how all your obligations are, the public transport, helps you translate all your documents. We don't do that for asylum seekers. None of that's done for those people. None of that's done for them. That's crazy. I don't understand why people want to pursue that nonsense. Okay, Colonel, I think you need to drink something stronger than that for Sunday's Refugee Chat. Martin Joubert just gave 40 Rand super sticker. Thank you for that, Martin. Appreciate that. Fear is what keeps them from getting anywhere. You cannot live your life waiting for refugee program. People need to get on with things. If they get a call, that's a bonus. Exactly, Mace. Exactly right. I look, I mean, it's getting difficult for me to have empathy for people. Look, I had concerns. I would never make lieutenant colonel. I would never make colonel because I didn't do the steps that you have to block. You have to check to ensure that you're promoted, because I was more focused on excellence, performance, and achievement and making a difference than promoting my own career, which some people are focused on. So I didn't do those things. I did what I thought was important, and I ran a huge risk of not getting promoted. The promotion rate's already very low. I could have sat around and never got promoted, or hoped. I mean, all I did was did what I did. I didn't do the things I did to get promoted, and let it take care of itself. Submit your statement of interest. Let it take care of itself. There's things you can do in the meantime while you're hoping and waiting. You can get rid of stuff you don't need. There's already stuff in your house you don't need, so get rid of it. It's superfluous. I'm in the process of doing that right now. I've thrown out, from 2020, during the COVID scam, I've thrown out about 400 magazines that I had sitting around. They're gone, and I'm getting rid of other things, some old electronics that aren't working anymore. It's always good to clean up every now and then. This is a good excuse to do it. So bigger chance of getting located to preferred state if you have friends there or willing to help. Friends, not so much. Family, yes. Job offers, job opportunities. Yep, you can, James, but you can ask. You can ask, and they can inquire into it. But when they're processing hundreds and thousands of people simultaneously, if it's a friend, don't count on that. If it's a family member they can verify as a family member, they're much more likely to go ahead and do that than they are, oh, I have a friend who lives in Tennessee. Oh, really? How long you know them? They're not going to hunt down and see how reliable that friend is, most likely. So does that make sense? Doesn't mean, but tell them. What does CNN do? No, CNN contacted me asking me for access to refugees because they're doing a documentary for Anderson Cooper to air before the G20 summit in November. And so they asked for my help, and I said, well, good luck with that. I'll try. And also gave them some comments about how I said it'll be hard to get people because people don't trust CNN. Anyway, I'm also trying to help them get the right information. So I've turned them on to voices in South Africa that they were unfamiliar with, who can explain the racist laws and the policies and things like that, because that's what it's really about. Peter, thank you for membership. Thank you for joining us, Peter. Okay. Zandre asked a question which I missed. I don't see this question. Oh, there it is. If you go for medical tests and they find out you have cancer, will that take you to America and do a treatment plan there? Zandre, whether you have cancer, unless you're in hospice level of care, it's not going to have an impact. No, they don't. There's no impact there. If you can't travel for health reasons, then you can't travel. But if you can travel, cancer is not going to stop it, Zandre. Active TB or some infectious disease will keep you. You can't transmit your cancer to Americans. The purpose of the immigration is protect America. And they're not protecting Americans because you have cancer. If you have syphilis or gonorrhea or chlamydia, yes, those are transmittable diseases which can be cured. And so, but I mean, they don't do, as far as I know, an STI test. My point is I'm trying to give an example of something. But active tuberculosis will be a decline until your tuberculosis is in remission. Freya is saying, yes, you can send money to your wife. Whether she uses it for the animals is good point. Okay. Marcus Aurelius. Ooh, we have Romans in the house. How many people have been accepted so far, and how many have made it to States? Well, nobody knows that information except the Department of State's PRM Bureau. Nobody knows, Marcus. Nobody knows. My estimate is about 100, 125 people or more already here, but people are coming every single day. 8, 10 people sometimes coming every day. So it might be a lot more than that. We don't know. We don't know. No one knows, and no one's going to share it because the media is so irresponsible, endangering people's lives. If I had the information and I was able to share it, I would, but I don't have that information. All I have is anecdotal information from people that I'm in touch with. Having dual British citizenship have an effect? Yes, it does, because you have a safe haven. It's called the United Kingdom, so you might be denied. First off, we don't recognize dual citizenship. It's bullshit. There's no such thing as dual citizenship. You cannot owe fealty to 2 nation states. That you're not special. So, yeah, if you have dual nationality, it could very well affect it. Answer honestly if they ask you the question. I think people need to even realize immigrating to America through one of the visa options takes 18 months to a year. Yep, or longer. Do you think could speed up the program? No, I don't think it will speed up the program. I think it'll pick up some of the slack. As I mentioned in my video, for those who watched it, that I put the link to about RSC, the United States Department of State just made a whole bunch of people in PRM, Bureau responsible for this, redundant. They just laid off a whole bunch of State Department employees as a reduction in force. And so the people that were doing some of this work in the States are no longer there as of just the other day. They're gone. So somebody has to pick up the slack. I think the NGO is picking up the slack, so it's not going to change the pace. Peter, that's my thoughts on that. Most home loans work like that, paying most interest off in the first few years. Well, that's because you're paying on a debt. If you borrow $300,000, you're paying 4% on $300,000. And that first month you pay most of the interest. Then over 3 years you reduce it, then it's only $260,000. Then you're only paying interest on $260,000, so you're paying less interest and more principal. I mean, that is how a home loan works, yes. Yep. It's not a tomato cocktail. It is, I don't drink alcohol. I tried that, and people were abusive towards me on the channel when I did my Schussbier. This is V8 juice. A vegetable cocktail. Well, Irene, it's easy to look up. You look up country code. I think it's 254. Buy a house in the city of war. What's that? No, they don't start with 54. They do not start with 54. Kenya numbers do not. Hey, Marius. Kenya numbers do not start with 54. That's nonsense. That's a European country. 54, most likely. Or Japan. Argentina is 54. 254 is Kenya. It's not 54. That's fake information. Fake information. It is 254. That did help a lot. I sent the letter of interest to Google Docs Embassy. Okay, cool. Glad to hear that, Gideon. Okay. You get free medical for a year. Well, that's not a correct statement either. You think they'll bring? No, they're not gonna bring you over to let you just die from cancer. That's just silly. Time to show off, Colonel. The fountain of knowledge. I know you're not a mine expert, but is it all mines in the U.S. open casts? No, they're not open cast. The anthracite coal mines are all underground mines. Many of our mines are underground. We don't have just open cast mines. Many gold mines are not open cast, but we do have a lot of open cast mines. We don't call them open cast; we call them open pit. And I do know a lot about mining, Anne-Marie, because I'm an energy industry analyst, and that's part of the energy industry. I know a lot about it. I also know a lot about rare earth, long before most of y'all even heard of the phrase rare earth. Yep, you'd be surprised what I do know. But thank you for asking, Anne-Marie. No, most they're not all open pit. I don't know what Minion asked, but can you rent a car? Only if you're 21 years of age and you have a credit card can you rent a car in most of America. Rental car companies won't rent cars to people under 21, and they won't rent without a credit card. So, yeah, that's the norm. You can rent on your South African license, yep. Do you have confirmation that you could share if there are more interviews that will be conducted in other provinces? Lizette, I've answered that question twice in this broadcast already. No, we have no information. The only place I'm aware of that physical interviews are taking place is at the consulate in Johannesburg and at locations in Pretoria. That's it. I have said that they are conducting telephone interviews for initial screening, but you still have to go physically for your medical stuff. So, yep. Due to recent conflicting info, do children over the age of 18 have to fill in their own statement? Where's the conflicting information, Gil? Who gave you conflicting information? There's no conflicting information. The age of majority in America is 18 at the federal level. 18. If you're 18 years old, you must fill in a statement of interest. There's no conflicting information here. I've told the exact same story from the very beginning, and the U.S. Embassy has confirmed, PRM has confirmed what I said to be true. You are 18 years of age. You're the age of majority. You, therefore, must take action on your own. If you live with your parents, then you still got to file a statement of interest. Your parents, however, should include you on their statement of interest. So if they get called and go, my son lives with us, he's going to university, want him to come, okay? But there's no conflicting information there. Gil, where are you getting conflicting information from? It's not coming from me. Yes, I have more bullion than Fort Knox. Well, we never did get the results of that audit. Remember that big famous, we heard there's no gold in Fort Knox. Nothing happened to that. Remember that? Chris missing Krugerrand. Irene says, thanks for coming. You're welcome. Do you know if the interviewer is using the DS4 and 16? Nikki, I'm not going to disclose what they're using. Not going to disclose what they're using. I've been asked not to share those details. Nope. It's inappropriate. Don't stop telling people about the Krugerrands. So I'll get free labor, huh? And they'll dig me a swimming pool. Good luck digging in my backyard. That stuff's like concrete. Everyone over 18 should fill in a statement. Yep. Even if they're dependent on you, they need to fill one out, okay? Unless you have, if you have an adult that's 18 or older, whether it's one of your original birth children or an adopted child or a family member, a parent who is your ward, you have legal custody of them because they're mentally incapable or physically incapable of taking care of themselves, that's a different story. Yep. If I ask, do you know anything about South Africans getting a refugee call while on H2A visa? Nope. That's crazy. Not a single person has told me that that's happened. That doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but not a single person has told me that. I suspect if they have called South Africans who are on H2A visa, they were probably admonished not to tell anybody because they're not supposed to be doing that. So that's my thoughts on it, but I don't know. No one's confirmed that to me. Louis Harhoff says, thank you for always giving the right information. Yeah, it's hard to find it. Helen of Troy. Hey, Colonel, I've just joined but wanted to know the Kenya organization. Would they fly us to USA from here? No, guys, you're not going to Kenya. It has nothing to do with Kenya. You will fly directly to the United States from South Africa. They will just facilitate your flights. They could be, see this, let me put this in perspective. So this is the thing, I'm going to fade back here. Stick with me, folks. When the U.S. Africa Command was created, we had all this whining. Oh, my God, we're going to steal Africa's sovereignty. It's the American neocolonialism. They're invading Africa. I'm like, that's a bunch of nonsense. We don't need to be in Africa. What do you mean you don't have to be in Africa? We don't have to be in Africa. Combatant commands historically aren't in the region that they're responsible for. What do you mean? European command is an exception. It's a consequence of the Second World War and having, 250,000, 500,000 Americans stationed in Europe to defend Europe from communism. So we created the European command when these combatant commands came about. Thank you, Narina, for the super chat. I'll get to you in a moment after I finish telling this story. So when Africa Command stood up, I said, it doesn't matter. It could be on the surface of the moon. As long as we have connectivity to the region and back to Washington, that's all we need. And a place where you can put a bunch of old farts who handle logistics and intelligence and operations and some soldiers, Marines and sailors. You just need a building that's safe and secure, that has electricity, that has secure networks, that can communicate with forces. That's all you need. They could be on the surface of the moon. It doesn't matter. And it's the same thing here. The U.S. government can run its operations to get South Africans out of South Africa from anywhere on the planet. If we suddenly had, a bunch of State Department people working in Ottawa for us, and they were doing nothing, we could put them to work on it. But normally it's done from Washington, D.C. And they use NGOs in this case. And so they happen to be in Kenya. It has nothing to do with anything. You will not go to Kenya. It has nothing to do with Kenya. Kenyans aren't making the decisions. Kenyans don't make the decisions. All they do is facilitate your interviews and your initial screening information they give. They make no decisions. They have no say in this whatsoever. None whatsoever. You do not go to Kenya. I hope that's clear. Facebook message said Cape Town and Durban also open. There's no evidence of that. I can tell you there's no evidence of that. I don't care what a Facebook page said, JJ Erasmus. There's no evidence of that. The green card? Green card is just a euphemism for permanent residency. You can apply for permanent residency in America if you meet the conditions after you've been here for a while. In refugees, you get a good deal. You can apply for permanent residency after 12 months of being in the States. In fact, you have to if you want to stay here. So, yep. It's just permanent residency. And you don't pay anything for it. Other people pay thousands of dollars for that and go through a lot of pain to get a green card. Some people have to wait a long time. It just means you can live in the U.S. permanently and not be an American. That's what a green card is. It's not really a green card. It was green at one time. Just a euphemism. A person is contacted by PM directly prior who had UCS national security style questions. Will they go through UCS face-to-face interviews for a living? Gabi, no one knows the answer to that question. And I did not ask that question directly of my sources. Time was limited. But you will have to do physical stuff. You have to go get the medical. So I suspect they'll probably still want to see you face-to-face. Why does it matter? Unless you're trying to save money not going to the interview. You got a e-account from Penn State Employees Credit Union. How to transfer money from South Africa? Wise is not an option. Well, expat family Joubert, you go in there and you look for electronic funds transfers and you set it up. Simple as that. Not hard. Go into your account online and set it up. And you can transfer money into a foreign account. If that doesn't work, you can try XE. Okay, but there's a lot of paperwork because of counterterrorism and counter money laundering. There's a lot of nonsense you have to go through to transfer money overseas. There is no acknowledgement of receipt of a statement of interest. Correct, Leona Watley. That is correct. That's all you get. A lot of people are freaking out because the PRM email, when that was the mechanism for the proof of concept, the PRM email, oh, we got an email saying they got it. Well, that's because you sent it to an email server, which is designed to do automatic replies. That's what that is. You Google Documents, Google Forms doesn't have an automatic thing. It just says submitted. That's your automatic right there. Do a screen capture the damn thing, take a picture of something so you've got it. But you're correct, Leona. There'll be no follow-up from that. After I pass the interview, what is the next process and when do I start packing and leave South Africa? Good. Well, what do you mean pass the interview? There's no passing. After you've conducted interviews, well, if they're satisfied with the answers and nothing turns up in your security checks, then you'll get medical. You do the medical, and once you're approved, then they book your flights and you get out of South Africa. Pretty simple. 1 year after refugee status, you apply for green card. No more specific. Yep. I walked into Wells Fargo 2 years ago with my passport and opened an account. Well, there you go. Without a social security number. Is that what you're saying, Alan? See, your statement's useless to me. Your statement means absolutely nothing, Alan. What are you saying? You walked into Wells Fargo 2 years with your passport and opened an account. That doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything at all. A passport's a form of identification. Are you talking about a Wells Fargo bank in the United States? Did you have a social security number or a taxpayer identification number? Please elaborate, because your statement doesn't really help. I know of a family that got a call, and people must realize that they must not only look out for email, must answer the phone any call they get because the family only got called. Yeah, well, I never said you shouldn't answer the phone. Have all 59 of this gotten job? I have no idea, Francois. I'm not in contact with all 59 of them. I've only been in contact with a third of them. Yeah. You're welcome, Anna. No, they're not going to fly you out of Kenya. That's stupid. Why are we going to add expense to this? Also, we don't have control over that. 3% better than 18%. Well, that's true. No, Dogzilla, can't use my address. Yeah, my address is 1 Trump Tower. Can we maybe do a poll tonight on when people applied or which options picked? That's too complicated, Peter. There's only get so many questions. Sue, is it only the head of household that needs complete statement of interest? Correct. No, it's the head of household for immediate family members or people they have control over. I'm sure you can use a nomad address that the van people. No idea what you're talking about. Okay, it just jumped on me. Just jumped on me. Good Lord, I'm behind a few super chats here. Poll's gone. No, the poll's there. What are you talking about? The poll's gone. Poll's there. Healthy Way says Susie 17. For those who know, how long after you're accepting a refugee program do you have to get your affairs in order? Well, nobody here knows, Andrew, unless they've done it. And it isn't the same. It varies. You could be approved for a refugee program now and have to wait 2 or 3 months because that's when you said you're available and that's when they can accommodate you. There's no magic bullet here. Stop. We submitted the detailed mail to PRM in March and statement of 12th. Both were acknowledged by the agent, including our detailed statement to PRM. How was your statement of interest acknowledged, Juliet? There is no acknowledgement for it. And what agent? There's no agent. The statement of interest, unless you've been contacted. That's different. Weird Animal Facts. We got a call from Washington, had an interview for an hour and a half. They said will send us an email in a few days. It's 9 days and still waiting. Okay, first off, Weird Animals, you're not hearing correctly. There's no handoff to Kenya. No, they're not the only ones doing it. That's an augmentation of the program, okay? I don't know where your email is. Sumari says, sorry to say, but a lot of my fellow Afrikaners are lazy. Well, but this isn't just Afrikaners, Sumari. That's a bad assumption on your part, not to pick on you, but this program is open to Indians and coloreds, many of whom have applied. But yeah, you're just talking about the Afrikaners. You don't know how I tolerate keep so calm. Yeah, I know, but I'm accused of being mean to people and evil and short-tempered, and people tell me to go screw myself. Every day I deal with that abuse. Recently completed it. Well, you won't receive an email Oh, you're talking about you from, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought you meant from confirmation. Speak everyday English. Martin Joubert, thank you for the 40 rand super chat. Do you have, no, we don't have that. We got one unabridged certificate, still waiting. Okay, well, that's not for me. What is SOI? Leonie Richter. SOI is a statement of interest. I've mentioned it several times in this broadcast. You have to fill out a statement of interest on the U.S. Embassy website. Well, it doesn't matter, E.T., what both South Africans want. What you want isn't germane to the program, unless what you want is to escape unjust racial discrimination. I appreciate what you're saying, ET Garden Services, but I'm trying to get the point across because South Africans seem to think if they tell someone, well, I'm a nuclear physicist and I can make America better, like that really matters. It doesn't. Well, my wife and I want to work. That's great, but it doesn't have any impact on whether you get refugee status. I'm trying to get people to use their common sense and divorce their false perceptions from the reality. It does not matter. Well, I've been a victim of crime. Doesn't matter. Were you a victim of crime because of racial reasons? Aha! There you go. My daughter was raped. That's tragic and horrific. But unless she was raped because she was white, or she was colored, or Indian, it's not unjust racial discrimination. So it's not germane, other than painting a picture of how horrible things are. I'm trying to get people to understand what's going on here. I've got so many people that think this is an immigration program. It's not. And well, we can contribute. That's nice. And when you get here, we do expect you to contribute, but it has no bearing on whether you get here or not. None whatsoever. People watching too much TV. Exactly. Quit paying attention to asylum. This is not asylum. This is not immigration. What's the iOS phone call? Don't understand, please. I don't know what iOS is. What are you talking about, Irene? What is iOS? I have no idea. What are you talking about? What is iOS? No idea what you're talking about. If you're a recovered addict, will you be turned away? No. Why would you be turned away? Why would you be turned away, Ashley? I think what most South Africans are addicts, they're addicted to nonsense and innuendo and rumors. They love rumit. South Africans love rumit, especially if it comes from another Afrikaner. Oh, the Jew Marna said, ek dink. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, a lot of South Africans are addicts to rumors and innuendo. No, being an addict, no, there's no impact. Anonymous says, asking for friend, they filled out the statement of interest. They want to apply for the B2 visitor just to visit friends. Shouldn't affect it in any way. The two have nothing to do with each other. Poll is still running, folks. Pat's Pat. People have backup plans. This is a gift from the USA, not a promise. I have my backup plan to leave. If you want out, there's always a way. Exactly, Pat's Pat. Good statement there. 243. I'm catching up now. I'm still behind, though. Okay, Peter, thank you for membership. Statement of state of statement. Sorry. Leonie, I don't know what statement is. That's from a long time ago. Exactly. Unless you're married, your partner is. Guys, we don't facilitate bigamy or boyfriend-girlfriend relationships. Either you're married or you're not married. If you're not married, then you're not a couple legally, and you don't get to bring that person. They're doing interviews in Cape Town and Durban as well. Well, where's your evidence of that, Anthea? How do you know that? How do you know that? I'm not going to spread bad information because I have no confirmation of that. Mandy wakes up and is grateful for the gift. Assume that if you already have already have a visa to enter the U.S., it would favor you. Nope. It won't, because we didn't do a background check to give you a visa. We don't do background checks to grant visas, so it won't have any impact. Marcus Willis, thank you for the $5. How many people accepted? I don't know. We don't know, and they're not going to release that. Did not put extended family like my retired mom in the statement. It's just, will I be able to get them over once we were there? I can't tell you that, Kay. They're not a member of your immediate family. You can ask, you can apply, but they're not a member of your immediate family, so the law has certain constraints. Why don't they apply? That's the question. Kay, why don't your family apply? They're adults. I think many South Africans wanting to go has already realized how much money, material things they have uselessly wasted time on the last 10 years. Yeah, uncluttered is a good way. Yeah, enemy. We're in the same boat there. I've wasted money on publications and things I don't need. In fact, I started throwing out sports programs. I used to keep all my Hershey Bears programs, but I don't care for the Bears anymore, so they're all going in the rubbish bin. When they asked me if I can go to an interview, they said in Pretoria they didn't give an option for Cape Town where I live, so I doubt that interviews. Exactly, Daryl. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Does having dual citizenship, I already answered that question. Yes, it can affect it, but be honest. Can we please have another interview with 59ers? Well, Elizabeth, then you need to appeal. Come on my broadcast when they're here. Sinduzi Otu, thank you for subscribing. You need to come in my thing and appeal to the 59ers. Say, please come back on Chris's program. I'm not going to pester these people to disrupt their lives. I've asked them, and no one's coming forward in the past 2 weeks. I haven't had interviews. Errol Langdon was the last interview I had. So, yeah. And I'm the only person doing those interviews to my knowledge, although Charles likes to talk to anybody. I've never had him on. Lots of senators have dual citizenship. No, they don't. No, they don't. They have 2 passports, but they don't have dual citizenship. They don't. Trust me, the U.S. is taxing their incomes, and the U.S. expects them to meet their their selective service obligations. I called last week and they asked me which embassy or which is closest for me. As I said, okay, well, there's only one embassy. There isn't multiple embassies, so I don't understand your question, 360 and 46. There's one embassy. It's in Hatfield. We have a consulate in Cape Town, one in Durban, one in Joburg, but they're not embassies. Marcus, thank you. If you had to guess what percentage, 100%. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Marcus. If I had to guess what the percentage of those that are getting approved for the South African refugee program, I would guess 100%. You asked me to guess, 100%, based on anecdotal information I have. Wherever I go, I find more and more people who've applied and waiting. I think Trump could train this country if he wanted. Yeah, no kidding. Marius Venter, thank you for membership. Trying to catch up here. Monique, okay, Monique, if you put all capital letters in your text, you're going to be deleted. So there's your warning. That's very rude and disrespectful to put all caps. Only my moderator can do that. That's attention seeking, and please do not do that again. Do you need paperwork from biological parent if you want to take your child? Yes, that's South African law. We don't trump South African law. You cannot take your child out of the country without written legal authority from the other parent. Can't do it. Can't do it. It has nothing to do with us. Remember President Trump said, no one will be left behind if you meet the right steps and not a criminal. Yep. I may have a tiny problem. My wife has a British and South African passports. That's not going to be a problem, Werner. That won't be a problem because someone in your family who's an adult is a South African citizen who qualifies for the program. It doesn't matter what the citizenship of your other family members are. That isn't an issue. You qualify. We're not going to leave you behind. So if you're a South African citizen and you have a dual national spouse and dual national kids, which is bullshit, but if you do, doesn't matter. You are the applicant. You qualify. If she's the applicant and she qualifies and you don't, then you will be able to go with her and vice versa. So I wouldn't worry about that, Werner. Pay more than minimum mortgage payment if you can. Exactly. I do that every month. I do that every month. That's how I lowered my interest payments from $1,200 a month in interest down to about $700 a month. I'm saving $6,000 a year. That's $6,000 a year more paying off the debt instead of paying interest. Yep. Are people only following statement work as required, or are they also sending email? There's no email to send, Speak Every Day. Why are you asking about emails? There's no email to send. That was a pilot project, and people, I don't know that anyone's reading those emails. What name will be on email for us to know if it's legit? Vanessa, I cannot answer that question. I will not answer that question. That's protected information. I think this program needs an allocated budget, which you've stated will be in September sometime. Well, I talked to State Department folks, and they said that it's still going to be a continuing resolution. But yeah, things should be clearer. And I didn't say September. I said October. Our fiscal year starts 1 October. Just joined, says Shane. Me and my it's me and my fiance and I, with our almost 6-year-old daughter, plan to go as refugees. Question is, we aren't married. Could that cause? Yes, it will cause problems for you. You both have to fill a statement of interest because you're not a family. You're not a nuclear family. You're not married. That's just some woman. So what you should do is fill out your statement of interest now. Say, this is me, and put down that person. These are the people in your family. But they're not in your family, but that's so they're aware of it. But she needs to fill one out too. Okay. A statement the statement of interest but not received call. I don't understand what that means, Irene. What do you say? Don't. It's encouraging to hear some of you have gotten a call. Many have gotten a call. Let's see what the poll says. So let me see what the poll says. So from this poll, we have 800 votes and 10% have gotten a call. So 80 plus people here that are watching this program who are still watching it have gotten a call. Over 80 people. Person with statement with business statement and now part of the team that just laid off. Will someone else take over? Asking for a friend. It's a good question, Philip Swanepoel. Yes, you won't be left hanging there. Suzanne Franco, 19 Rand super sticker. Thank you for that. Sinette von Rensburg. Before I got the email and the call, how long before filling in your statement of interest? Okay. Why would you email RSC? If you did, statement of interest. Exactly. That's not going to help anything. There is no typical, a home loan. Sorry. Okay. Arnold Brown, what's typical? 15 or 30 years. 15 or 30 years. I have a 30-year home loan, 3.75% interest. 30-year home loan. And when I first started making my payments, my first monthly payment, 60% of what I paid was interest the first month. I'm trying to think back. 60% was interest. Now, interest is 33%. I've lowered it 33%. I received a call. The call was only 20 minutes. I was not told that I will get an email, but we'll get another call short time. I think they will, Vale. That seems odd, though, that you've had to wait a month. Sorry about that. Maybe Kenya will accept Barack Hussein Obama's refugee status. Michelle said, do you know maybe how long they would take to call back after someone's sent back? No, I have no idea, Michelle. It varies. Guys, I mean, I don't think anybody appreciates what we're talking about. We're talking about at least 70, maybe 150,000 of different, statements of interest they're going through. It's a lot. It's a lot. Is Beulah, Pennsylvania haunted? No idea. There is no offshore oil, slippery pickle. Why don't you click the thumbs up? That's a good idea. Click hey, Napoleon Dynamite's back. Hey, how's it going? Colonel, you have the patience of a saint, says Elaine. Well, some people claim I don't. Thank you for that, though. Will the change to the Kenya agency affect those already? It should not. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks since our results were submitted. I doubt. It's just warning. Shouldn't have any effect, Juliet. Shouldn't have any effect. Hey, everyone, if you put in 0 to 3 months and it's past 3 months, what you should do in this sense? Wait. Okay, first off, where do you all get off thinking that you fill out 0 to 3 months, that means you're going to leave in 0 to 3 months? Where did you reach that conclusion at? Did the statement of interest indicate that if you fill in 0 to 3 months, you're leaving South Africa in 0 to 3 months? No, it didn't. Are you falsely assuming that because you filled that out means you get to get ahead of the queue? It doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And if you filled out 9 to 12 months, it doesn't mean anything either. All it was for a mechanism for the State Department to get a feel for the impact of this program, which is a very reasonable expectation on their part. If 100,000 requests come in and they all expect to leave tomorrow, well, how do you prioritize things? How do you book flights? How do you set money aside? How do you do investigations? If someone said they're not available for 9 months, then you can program their investigation for 3 months from now. You don't have to do it right now. Saving the money spent on the investigation until the next fiscal year. But if you put 0 to 3 months, that just means you're ready to go. So they can take you in any time. These assumptions are not helping you guys out. And it hasn't been 3 months. First off, Bennett, let's just clarify something, unless you're giving a hypothetical. There hasn't been 3 months. May 12th, June 12th, July 12th. Not until you get to August 12th have you reached 3 months under this program. Nobody's been waiting 3 months. That is untrue. Nobody's been waiting 3 months. Nobody. I don't want to hear about February 7th, because February 7th, President Trump offered you an option. February 10th, you could send a PRM email in until May 12th. You've had less than 3 months. No one has waited 3 months. Charles Van Onslin says, people, it's not rocket science. Be married, submit a statement of interest, and wait for the call. Have passports, birth certificates. There you go. And marriage certificates and divorce certificates. Divorce decrees. Thank you for smashing the like button, Quagga. If you aren't married but have a child together and are engaged, do you go as a family? Nope. Not to my knowledge. No, that's not a family. That's not a family. That's a couple. Couples are not welcome. Nuclear families are, which is someone who's married. Hang on a second. What's this? Okay. Sorry. To my knowledge. But do put those people on your statement of interest. But she's going to have to fill out one too, or he, vice versa. That's crazy. Oh, that's crazy. It looks like a lady. So he's going to have to fill one out. You're going to have to fill one out. Both of you put the child on there. I don't understand why so many of you aren't married. So I don't get this in South Africa. I get it. I mean, the dudes, I get it. I mean, if you're going to get the milk without paying for the price of the cow, then you just get the milk for free. I mean, I get it. I get why dudes don't get married. But women, you'd think you'd want security. Or maybe you don't like the dude. I don't know. I'm not getting involved in that. That's not my place. I'm just saying. But if you get all the benefits, you get to knock boots, you get to have offspring, but you don't have to get married to have any obligations. I mean, I get that. That sounds very appealing to some people. Ruben says, I know what Americans can do. I've seen them in combat, and they are not those who they don't leave anybody behind. My mind is crazy sometimes, biting my nails. Ruben, hang in there. Yeah, you got to have an affidavit you got to have a legal statement from the parent, or you can't leave the country. Do only the head of family have to complete? Yes, that's correct. But bear in mind, if you have adults in the household who are not your spouse, your adult children have to apply. Okay? So if you're a family of 5, you're married, you're in your 50s, you're married to a woman, okay? Sorry if that offends trans people. You're married to a woman, okay? You put your statement in, you've got 3 kids. You've got a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 19-year-old. The 19-year-old lives in your house is going to have to fill out a statement of interest. You can put them on your form, but they're going to have to fill out a statement of interest too, just to make sure they're covered because they're an adult. The age of majority in America at the federal level is 18. Yep. But I don't know why we've answered that question like 9 times. People must be tuning in late. Hey, Shane. Irene left the poll. Okay, the poll, guys, you Afrikaners keep misspelling poll. Okay, I'm not picking on Irene, but poll is spelled P-O-L-L. The poll you're spelling is the one that some people have up their ass. They have a poll up their ass, P-O-L-E. P-O-L-L. When we do a poll, it's a poll. Okay, I've seen that like 30 times misspelled by Afrikaners in the past week. Yeah, many single parents are having a problem with the children. Yep. And those who have adopted children, that's a problem. Yep. Gil says, thank you very much. Meant conflicting info from other sources. Yeah, no, Gil. I mean, what I told you is the truth. So, Helen DeSwart, welcome to you. Okay, Narina, Colonel, I get what you're saying about carrying on while waiting for the refugee call, but for my son, that means going to U.S. H-2A visa with that are his chances. No. Okay, you're putting reside in South Africa. There's no reside in South Africa rule. You have to be a South African who lives in South Africa. Your son lives in South Africa. Your son going to America on H-2A visa is not living in America. Okay, these are legal definitions, folks. Kratos, thank you. Legal definitions, okay? Your son is not living in America. He's not an American. He doesn't have permanent residency. He's here on a temporary migrant visa to work, a work visa on a temporary basis. He's a lodger. He's lodging in America. So if you applied in South Africa and you got H-2A visa, then he comes over here. If he has to go back for an interview, he has to go back for an interview. But no, I think you're fine. That's my opinion. You're asking for my opinion, okay? And the other option is to just not take the visa and stay there and hope, but then, that may not work well. Miss Lowe, thank you for the 140 Rand super chat, by the way, Narina. Okay. If your parents submitted their own statements, neither you nor they indicated this in their statement, can you mention that your parents are interested when you get called? Absolutely, Miss Lowe. You can mention, give the names, and they may even take it from you. Yep. Holden, this is a refugee conversation. Why are you talking about the Sinaloa cartel? Professor G says he's in contact with someone in H2A. Well, thank you very much for not contacting me, H2A visa holders. I've answered their questions a million times. I feel betrayed. Still developing. Yep. Because he's going to tell those persons to do asylum. I know what he's going to do. Maybe that's why they contacted him instead of me. Malema's promise. Yeah, there's no homes. Professor G posted a video regarding someone who was called that is in the U.S. on a visa. Okay. Well, I haven't seen it. Okay. Going to pluck in your grass. Good luck with that, Tins. Josar Smith, not sure when you last heard this. Thank you again and again. There are many people that are trying to get. Well, you're very welcome, Josar. Thank you for the $5. No, people thank me on the chat every day. Zandri, there's a movie out there, Get Off My Lawn. I laughed and thought, yeah, that's where I get it from. Back from the Spur. Ugh, Spur. Phone statement, but no phone call received. Well, Jenny, that happens. That happens. Most people haven't gotten a call back. How many people we got now? So we've got 866 votes and 9% have gotten yes. Okay. So 11% never filled a statement of work. So that's 800. So take away 10%, 80. Takes us down around 800. Of the 800, 10%, that means 80 people have gotten a call. So, yep. 10,000. And are you talking about money? Do I declare in South Africa? You declare in the U.S. You declare when you arrive in a country. If I come to South Africa with Rand, if I have more than 25,000 Rand, which I don't, but if I had more than 25,000 Rand, when I arrive at South African port, I must declare more than 25,000 Rand to the South African government. I can also, by the way, I can bring like $10,000, I think, into South Africa plus 25,000 Rand. It's kind of weird. But in America, it's $10,000 in financial instruments. So if you have $10,100, $10,001, you must declare that when you arrive. Okay? Why are you worried about that? That's something to worry about. People keep asking that question. Some of you must be really rich. Some people left without any face-to-face interviews. Gabi, I cannot confirm that anybody has left without a face-to-face interview. I can confirm that people have been doing telephonic interviews, but to my knowledge, none of them have left yet. Once you're expected, what's this? You mean accepted? And you know when you're leaving, what would be the best way to advise your employer? I would keep quiet, Jessica, unless you feel you owe something to your employer. I mean, until you've got a plane ticket, I would keep my mouth shut. If your employer feels betrayed, well, what's more important, your safety or your employer? I already know somebody who lost their job because their mother has a big frickin' mouth. You could drive a Mack truck into it. The mother blabbed to the guy's employer, her son's employer, and he got sacked because he filled out a statement of interest. He's never gotten a phone call, hasn't been interviewed, doesn't know if he'll ever get refugee status, but now he's unemployed because treasonous bastards in the community. So, Jessica, my advice would be, unless you have great loyalty to your employer and you can trust them immensely, I wouldn't say jack squat. Where is your loyalty to? Where is your most important duty to? Your employer or yourself and your family? That would be my comment there. Now, as an employer, I'd be pissed off big time. I'd be angry if you just abandoned me. But, that's life. That's life. The ANC created this mess. Not me, not you, not your employer. Pierre Enslin says, thank you. Very welcome, Pierre. Hey, Retha, what's going on? When I went for my passport, they informed me that they never received my marriage registration. I will just explain this in my interview. So I have a small marriage certificate. Okay. No idea what your point there is right now. Okay. Who's punting crypto? You're going to punt crypto, you're going to get blocked in this channel. Ask your aunt about a green card. Why would I ask your aunt about a green card, Ruben? I don't need to know about a green card. Any truth that Kenya sends an email beforehand notifying you'll get a call? I don't know, Miss Lowe. I haven't talked to anyone who gave their experience. Marianne Hennig, the very first submission forms were called asylum. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. That's not true. That's not true. There were no, Marianne, that's fake news. There were no initial forms. There were no initial forms. There was never asylum. Never. That's bullshit. 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 Where do you get that from? I have known this process since the moment it started. President Trump on the 7th of February announced he was offering refugee status. On the 10th of February, the U.S. Embassy posted on their website people for refugee status who were suffering unjust racial discrimination, including ethnic minorities. And they encouraged people to send an email to the PRM address. There was no form. There was no form. There was no form. You sent an email to a PRM email address, and you got an automated reply saying they received it. And then if you're fortunate, they contact you. I know friends of mine who personally flew from Cape Town to Pretoria for the interview process, and they haven't gone. They're still in South Africa, and they've never been called back. They haven't been denied, but they haven't been called back. There was no form. On the 12th of May, you fill out a statement of interest. That's not a form. There's no form to fill out. No form to fill out. You fill out a statement of interest, then you're contacted. So I don't know where you're getting that from, Marianne. Who told you that? That's a lie. Vitamin says, I'm sending again. Don't see or find it in my message. Well, I haven't seen a message from you. Okay. I'm answering questions from 900 people, folks, and some of you feel left out. Come on, be reasonable. It's been 4 months after my initial interview. No information received since I'm aware of another person in the same position. The common denominator was that our spouse is the second passport. To go, then you must have sent a PRM email address in, correct? Take care, Holden. PH 140 rand, I got a call, but no email. The 10, but there is more people. What is the 10? I don't understand. Thank you, PH. The fees on foreign currency in South is nuts. Killing, in fact. Would rather look at a PayPal. Yeah, PayPal is only about 3%, 2 or 3%. So it used to be nothing. Good evening, sir. You can buy your own plane tickets? I don't have an answer on that, Anthony. You can pay for your own plane tickets, but I don't think they're doing that for South Africans. No, there was never an asylum. There was never an asylum form. Never the case. The day that it went live on the 12th of May, I was sitting at OR Tambo when that news came out. When that news came out, within minutes of it coming out, one of my viewers said, hey, they put something up on the website. I went there. I was eating at, what's that crappy restaurant you guys love in South Africa? The breakfast place that we used to have in America. Can't think of it right now. Terrible hamburgers. Anyway, I was eating at OR Tambo when that came out. I went and reviewed it. There was no statement of interest that said anything about asylum. That's not true. I don't know where you got forms. Marianne, did you go download a form from the USCIS? There are asylum forms there. Did you download a form from there? Maybe that's where the information came from. Chantel. Whoa, Chantel. Just disappeared on me there. Hang on. Whoa. Come on, man. Where does this thing disappear? Whoa, way behind. Dogzilla said $10. Thanks for the friendly patience. Thank you for the $10, Dogzilla. Okay. I think the email people are talking about email consent to background check. Well, that's not the statement of interest. That's not getting in the program. That's something completely different. There's a way to ask a question privately. I was in the U.S. before on J1. I was an au pair, got married there and left and divorced from South Africa. You're a bit something. Ralda, it's very, there's an email address here. Send an email. If I can get to it, I get to it. I'm not aware of anybody being denied, Gray Bearded Vet. There's a lot of people waiting for the mail with the consent forms. Yep. Yes, apparently. Primal Boritz, the wife was South African citizen, the husband South African citizen, was born here but another passport. We both completed the statement separately. Thank you, Twinkle Stardust. Sent my email in February, did the SOI in 12 May, still waiting, made sure that all our documents in order. All right, Sonia, when they call you, you'll be set. The problem that I have is after you put in a statement of interest, you do not receive a mail. Well, why is that a problem? Why didn't you do a screen capture of the confirmation that was submitted? What is the confirmation mail going to do for you? Nothing. 0 3 months it's made zero difference. I did say I had to get a passport though. Aha. Share she number that called you. What the hell is that, student? Do you know if the annual U.S. diversity visa lottery is still in effect? I think that was suspended. I don't know the status of that right now. First email, they email first informing you that they will call and provide a few numbers. Well, that isn't always the case. You guys keep giving your personal example. What happened to you is not necessarily the way things unfold. They've unfolded in different fashions, folks. Thanks for all the effort, Uncle. Keep it going. Thank you for 35 Rand there, Sparrow Ducks. Van Heerden, 19 March, sent email to PRM. 12 May, statement of interest. June 1st, call interview. June 27th, email sent. Checks done. Email received for biometrics July 10th. Hey, thank you, Van Heerden. There you go. You've been at this since March, and you've made a lot of progress. All right, you'll probably be in the States soon. I hope you give me an interview. USA could have used the timeline question to plan a budget on their end or even determine how serious their request. But that's what a lot of it is, Anne-Marie, how serious the request is. Thank you for that. Been waiting my whole life to be a hillbilly. Well, good luck with that. Sorry, did I misunderstand the poll? Has 80% already been called? No. Did I write the poll wrong? Hang on. Have you completed and received a telephone call? Okay, I missed the letter and call, but no. I mean, did you do both things? Filled in 3 to 6 months, and we are newly married and have a lot of paperwork to go through. Yep. Hey, Garrett, what's going on, man? NDK, would you require your ID? I've been receiving mugs, so I'm trying to recover it all. You're going to have identification. You have to have a passport. That's identification. Thank you for answering my questions. It was just what if question, was not assuming it will. Okay, Bennett, that's fine. But no, Bennett, my response to you was directed at a number of people. People also need to understand when I'm answering these questions, if I highlight a question and mention someone, I'm mentioning them so that you know I'm answering your question. Otherwise, again, how come you don't answer my question? How come you answer my question? I get that all the time. So that's to let you know that I'm addressing what I saw from you in the chat. I'm not necessarily going after what you said. I'm addressing it either because it's the first time it's mentioned or it's something that's been mentioned many times or people make assumptions. So that wasn't directed at you, Bennett. Thank you for the good sense you took in it. My wife handcuffed me and literally dragged me to church to get married. I wonder why they would do random picks if part of the statement. What is an iOS? Why do people keep saying iOS? Stop. Right. What is iOS? It's not funny, Pierre. It means you don't understand what's going on. It's not funny at all. And I don't understand why you keep typing iOS. There's no iOS. What is an iOS? Marry a covert nice assistant. You get a lifetime of hell, no milk. There you go. My sister and her boyfriend has a child and live together. They both had to fill it out. Both will be interviewed together and leave together and live together. There you go. Well, SV, you're saying that, but they did have to fill out statement of interest. That's what I said. And what have I said all along? I said you may get called with them, you may go with them, but you are not going to go if they don't both get interviewed. You're not married, so they don't get a free pass. You're welcome, Conrad. My pleasure. A lot fewer people tonight. Big audience simultaneously, but a lot fewer tuning in. Only 4,000 have watched this so far. When we have time to check reply to WhatsApp? Well, Kratos, I guess, maybe when I stop broadcasting and answering these questions, I might get a chance to do that. Am I allowed to eat? Am I allowed to go to the crapper? Am I allowed to go to the store? Am I allowed to pay my bills? Come on, man. I'll get to it when I get to it. If you have bank account in South Africa and you have to use your fingerprint, please go to your bank with your fingerprint. We don't do fingerprints for bank accounts here. I think I get very nervous asking questions, so I'm only going to listen to you and then ask questions. Irene, you haven't? Okay. Irene. Ask your questions. And you've got typos, which confuses me. So I'm trying to answer the question as best I can. And folks, don't worry about if you spell poll wrong. I got it. I understand if you type P-O-L-E versus P-O-L-L. My Afrikaans spelling is not perfect. So anyway, or Kosa. It's terrible in Kosa. Ask your questions, okay? Be patient. It took me 7 years between my first and second cataract operation. Good Lord, Karen, that's a long time. Dutch English is different. That's true. People, please learn the meaning of words. Family in USA. Yep. Oh, thank you, Patches. That's very good. Your family is not your your tani, your auntie, your cousin. That's not your family. That's an extended family. As a refugee, you don't get to bring your extended family. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to bring your immediate family, your nuclear family. Your nuclear family is your spouse, not your lover. Not your lover. This isn't Jamaica, man. You can't bring your lover. The bugger off bunny will come talk to you. You can't bring your lover. You must bring no partners. UK, it must be your spouse. Your significant other must be married to you. And those children must be yours. If they're not yours, if you're married, but you were knocking boots and had a child previously with someone you're no longer married to, you can't take the child unless the person you were knocking boots with gives you permission. And that is not an American requirement. That is a South African requirement. Okay, man? Okay. We're not talking about who you're knocking boots with. Push it. Push it good. A la 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 la. A la 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 la. Girl, I've been watching you. Girl, I'm gonna make you sweat. Sweat till you can't sweat no more. And when you cry out, I'm gonna push it, push it, push it some more. A la 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 la. A la 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 la. No, man, it's not push it. It's not gonna make you sweat. You must be married. If you're not married, you're gonna need legal paperwork, man, to get those people in. If your spouse is your lover, that's awesome, but it's so rare. It's so rare. Girl, I'm gonna make you sweat. Sweat till you can't sweat no more. And when you cry out, I'm gonna push it some more. A la 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 la. I love that song. I love that song. Oh. Inner Circle, man. Oh, that's a great song. That's a great song. Where's the damn lyrics? I want the lyrics, man. Oh my goodness. 1990 it was released. Here's the lyrics. Standing across the room, I saw you smile. I said I want to talk to you for a little while. But before I make my move, my emotions start running wild. My tongue gets tied, and that's no lie. I'm looking in your eyes. I'm looking in your big brown eyes. And I've got this to say to you. Girl, I want to make you sweat. Sweat till you can't sweat no more. And if you cry out, I'm gonna push it some more. Oh, what a great song. Kind of graphic, but what a great song. We don't wear bonnets. Those are for four-trekkers. A bonnet is what a four-trekker wears. Now I can't even spell. Waiting on the call now. All the paperwork in place. All right, cool beans, William Wheeler. Good to hear that. It's because of our 30% pass rate. Colonel, if two brothers go to the U.S., might they put you in one apartment, one in the same? I don't know how to answer that question. Probably put you in separate places. If you are in a second marriage but was divorced from the first, do you also need a divorce decree? Yes. Yes, you have to have divorce decrees. NDK, 40 Rand, thank you for the super chat. If emails were submitted South African email with a statement of interest, email box would be full and they'd probably disconnect services. Exactly. That's why they did a statement of interest, folks, because the email server would have been filled. The statement of interest on Google will let them get hundreds of thousands of statements of interest. Think about that. That's a logistical point. Wondered about this from the start. Wife was worried, but the colonel spoke about this many times. The thing we need to remember is U.S. respects and honors marriage. Indeed. A 3-year work visa? Not that I'm aware of, Anime. What do you say to your employer once you know that you're leaving? Please advise this. Jessica? Again, it depends on your relationship with your employer. Some people are just disappearing. But, I mean, I think you have a moral obligation to let them know you're leaving. South African law, if they say you live together 6 months, you're common law. Well, that isn't the rule here in America, Cutmans. That might be in certain states where you get a legal obligation. It's called palimony, or you have a legal obligation, but it doesn't give you rights under the law. It gives the partner rights so they can claim benefits, if you die or something like that, or children, but it doesn't give you the right to enter the country under the refugee program. Okay. Arctic is saying, Jessica, you tell your employer bye. Jane Seward, thank you for the 14 Rand super chat. If you can't find the father, just contact Steve. Oh gosh, who told me? Okay. I need a massage. My shoulder muscles are cramping because this waiting game. Corey says sexist a bit. Just got a gifted beginner Spanish book. Okay, well, I don't know why you want to learn Spanish. Hey, Ingrid, what's going on? Anyone talking about the lawn is forgetting about, yeah. My basement's full. Work permits usually issued for a 3-year period. I don't know how that works, John Peter. You've been advised already. You need to go back to where you were married and ask for a copy of the original. Yep. Angelique, so sorry to ask another question, but could you possibly elaborate on the legal permission we need from the baby's daddy for an unborn child? No, you need the legal court form. You need whatever the attorneys require to leave South Africa. That's not our requirement, Angelique. I'm sorry, that's South Africa. You need the authority. Whatever that form is, whatever the paperwork is, you need the birth certificate as well. All right? All right. So, Angelique, I need to talk to your 16-year-old daughter. She should be busy studying and not knocking boots. Sorry. Sentient Verse. Just wanted to get your thoughts on this. Do you still think only 1,000 people is going by September? No one ever said only 1,000 sentient. See, you're inferring something that was never implied or stated. The Washington Post claimed that a source in the State Department said that the goal is 1,000 by 30 September. That's not only 1,000. That's not up to 1,000. That is not 1,000 and stop. Stop inferring things that are not implied. We have no idea. The Washington Post made the claim without any substantiation. I actually believe what they said, but I suspect it will go more. Spur's expensive. Well, their food sucks too. Do we have to learn Spanish? No. Why would you learn Spanish? I speak 6 languages and I refuse to learn Spanish. I will not learn Spanish. I'm not going to have this country overrun by illegal immigrants. If you have a pension that needs to pay out, it's better to resign and just say you got another opportunity. Yeah, most employers can replace you easily. Terrell Olivier says, I'm currently going through a divorce and my wife has custody of our daughter. I've tried my best to convince my wife to go as well, but she won't listen. It won't affect your statement of interest, but you won't be able to take your daughter and you won't be able to take your soon-to-be ex-wife. I'm sorry to hear you're going through a divorce, Terrell. That's tragic. And I'm just curious how old your daughter is. Is she a teenager? Is she a small child? That's unfortunate. Sorry to hear that, Terrell. Thank you for the 200 Rand super chat. Maddie says, thank you for everything you do. Much appreciated. Have a great afternoon. All right, cheers. There's my email address. It's never been asylum. It was always called asylum by fake news. Exactly. It's been a lie from the beginning. Just like it's for whites. Just like it's for farmers. Just like, well, everybody suffers from crime. Who gives a flip? That has nothing to do with this refugee program. You can use crime if you're a victim of crime because you were targeted because you were a racial minority, yes. But being a victim of crime, like I said earlier, I mean, if your daughter was raped, I mean, that's not justification to come to the refugee program. Lots of Americans are raped. We're not going anywhere for refugee status. But if you were targeted because you were a racial minority and raped as a consequence, absolutely that's a basis for it. If it's racially motivated, yes, absolutely a basis for it. But having your home broken into in South Africa, that's an everyday occurrence for everybody. That's not a basis. And the South Africans who lie about this, and I was going to talk about that. I haven't gotten around to it because it looks like people are leaving, but we still got a lot of people here. I've got stories from a couple months ago where all these people have been proven wrong. And these leftist liberals in South Africa who are Afrikaners are trying to say that this is unjust, that let people go. And I was going to get to that. We haven't got to that because I've been doing your text messages, your chat. Found out our marriage wasn't registered when we were married 2 years and I was 7 months pregnant. I was angry. I almost climbed over the counter with my pregnant belly. Wow, Eliza. I can understand that. It's because they're idiots. They don't register stuff. But do you have a certificate from your church? That will prove when you got married. It's not legal, but it proves when you get married. South Africans love to throw their stories in the open. No secrets, kind of like People magazine. Everyone applied and getting worried about not hearing anything. We're all in the same boat. It's difficult, but this is where your faith in program has to override your anxieties. Well, also your reality, Lynette, that you're owed nothing. If you're never called by the U.S. government, then you're never called. But that's not going to happen. If someone lived minimum wage solely based on that, which state would be better between... If I was given a choice to live in Alabama and Tennessee, my answer to that question is I would live in Tennessee. But it has nothing to do with minimum wage. Do you agree that refugees in camps are safer that here because they're staying in a military security zone? Anton, I have no idea what your statement's saying. Are you trying to say then? Refugees in camps are safer because they're staying in a military security zone. There are no refugees in camps. Are you talking about in Kenya or in Chad? There are no refugees in camps. There are no camps for refugees in America. That's not true. So, again, a question I can't answer because you're not giving me any context here. I don't know what you're asking here. There's no camps. Keep your lips. Oh, Charles, I'm just afraid that they see it as no, Terrell. No. that has no bearing on it whatsoever. You're not leaving your family behind. It's not a judgment. No one's making moral judgment for you. If your soon-to-be ex-wife is a dunderheaded deuce dipshit asswipe that wants to endanger the safety of your child, well, then that's her mistake and the misfortune for your child. The U.S. government's not going to make a moral judgment about that. I know a guy in Hermanus. He's a pharmacist. He's coming. His wife doesn't want to come. He's coming. No, it has no impact. But you have to be honest. You say, okay, put down your daughter, but then they're going to ask you, but you don't have the wife's authority to take the daughter, so the daughter has to stay, but they're going to let you get out. Keep your lips closed. Get on with your daily business. Be patient, says Ingrid. Good advice. I resigned so that I'm free from employment before I go, but my pension was strong enough to do this. Gave a lot of my clothes and belongings away. Okay, Fabian's ready. Helena Troy says, good night. You're welcome. Good night. Thank you for your patience. You're welcome. Okay. Gosh bless it. This chat's just so far behind. You sure you use the right greens in your tomato juice? Why? Because of the girl that make you sweat? Catch you in a week, okay? Make me laugh too much. I'm crying, okay? Yes, when you open a bank account, you have to give your fingerprints and they take a photo of it. Yeah, I know that. I was being facetious, Karen. Yep. No, I didn't get that from Ronaldo. Okay. There's no scrunching as common law. Oh, such thing as common law. Or we have a lot of law based on English common law, but common law doesn't apply. There are exceptions. Texas. So here's one. Here's one. Texas. I don't know if it's still the law, but let's say you're married and your spouse is screwing out on you. In Texas, it used to be that under common law, that child was legally your responsibility. So if you're a white guy married to a white woman and she's sleeping with a black guy and has a mixed race kid, you can't say it's not my kid. And you got to pay for it till they're 18. That's how it was in Texas. I don't know if that's still the case. We've had service members whose wives were screwing around on them when they were deployed in combat, got knocked up, came back, and there's a kid. Legally, it's their obligation. Yep. I don't know if that's still the case. Hottest. If someone fills in the form stated, they still have to fill in a statement. There is only one thing to fill out. It's a statement of interest, Hannes. I don't understand your question. There's nothing else. Or where you get confused by. You go to the embassy, you fill out the form. It's right there. It's on the website. What are you guys talking about? People keep coming here coming up with all kinds of nonsense. I don't know where you guys are getting this crap from. Here it is. Let's go back to the U.S. Embassy website. Program for admission for South Africans. Okay. The website is slow tonight. Refugee admissions program. Nothing's changed. You follow this link, statement of interest. There you go. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. There you go, folks. Right there. Nothing has changed. Why do you think something has changed? There's nothing has changed. What about people who are divorced and remarried the same person 2 or more times? You need your divorce certificate because it's going to break your marriage. Is it safer to stay in South Africa? The USA is in turmoil at the moment. What catastrophic weather? Oh my God. What are you talking about? Catastrophic weather? There's no catastrophic weather here. It's lovely outside. Beautiful. Catastrophic weather. My God, the country's the size of a continent. You think continents don't have weather issues? Give me a break. It's a silly question, Janet. Turmoil. Where's the turmoil? Where's the turmoil? There's no turmoil here. 20 million illegals. Yeah, and we're kicking them out. We're kicking them out. Over 1,100,000 are gone already. If you think it's not safe, Janet, then don't put a statement of interest. Don't come here. You think it's safer in South Africa, stay in South Africa. That's your prerogative. But if you want to believe the bullshit that you're reading, that you hear in the news, then you're welcome to believe that too. There are no other forms. TM Afrikaner questioned the chat. If your passport is near expiration, like a year or so, should you wait till expired? I would. Yeah. Well, Home Affairs is still getting itself in order. If you pay for, if we might have been misinformed, but if you pay for your passport early, you pay a higher price or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just for more pages of the book. I don't know what the deal is, but I would submit your passport at the time that you normally have to. All right. But yeah, a year out, you should be fine. I don't apply for a passport a year out, and I wait till closer. Girlfriend, I guess 17 years. Does that mean we cannot go? We have 5 children. You can go, Ashley. You can go. But you need to put all of them on your form, and she's going to have to fill the form too. I've already answered that question like 19 times in this chat. It's not even a question of me answering the question in previous streams. It's answering in this chat. If your daughter leaves before giving birth, she don't need permission. It's a statement, more. I don't know. I would presume that's the case, yeah. Yes, the Washington Post is fake news. Yes. Yeah, why would you keep getting married over and over again? Did you guys get it wrong? Statement. There was a bunch of haters spreading it on X saying they must flood the website and create. Would this be considered a crime? Well, it's not a crime because there's no legal statute on that. But yeah, but they've got a way of weeding that stuff out. Spanish protesters and troublemakers. Arctic is advising you to renew it now. Well, I don't know. I don't know what advice to give you there. Good idea, secret film. Oh, stop it, Dogzilla. I thought you left. We are not happy about this. Oh, no, Angelique. I know. I got you. I didn't mean be moralizing, but I mean that's bad. Yep. Sorry to hear that, Angelique. Suppose the good news is you have a grandchild. So, Hydra Shavanga is here. I didn't see him. Okay. Not me. The other people, says Anton. Anna says no to be sarcastic. Sarcastic to whom, Annie? Anna, who was I sarcastic to? Worked for my employer for close to 20 years. I'm currently studying through them. I haven't signed a contract with them to pay them back, although it is expected. It's going to be awkward. Well, there's nothing says, Juliet, that you can't reimburse them when you come to America. You can send money to them. I mean, if you feel that moral obligation, absolutely. You can do that. How do you prove fear of persecution? Well, if I was an Afrikaner or a colored in Indian South Africa, I would point to the 145 race-based laws. I'd start right there. Wolf the Blind Biker, you do what you think is right. If you don't have a phone number they can call you at, they're not going to be able to reach you. So, members of Parliament singing about murdering white people. They posted on X how they wanted genocide white, so that's persecution. There you go. Exactly, Morsh. Yep. You can point to your neighbors who were murdered. Can you hack a caravan? Tyrell says, thank you. My daughter's 14. I'm assuming that I will be able to do with consent of her mother that I may sponsor. Tyrell, what you should do is, Tyrell Olivier, what I would do is this for you. This is what I would do, okay? If you've not done a statement of interest, I go fill a statement of interest. I put your disgruntled spouse on there because you're still married. Put your daughter on there. When you get called in for the interview, if you've gotten divorced or you're getting divorced, explain to them. But if you've got the paperwork from the wife that lets you take the daughter, then great. 14, that'd be a great time for her to come to America. She'll really appreciate coming over here. It'll be amazing for her. It'll be amazing. 14 is, you remember everything from 14 on, so it'd be great. Probably miss her mom, though. Maybe she hates her mom. I don't know. What do you suggest we do with our current vehicle and finance? Should we just contact the bank and let them take it back? Beulah, I'm not going to offer advice on that because then people are going to try to drag me into a legal conundrum. I'm not going to offer advice on that. Your debt has no bearing on your refugee status. Conversely, if you owe money to people in South Africa, they have a legal right to come after you in America if they want to waste that money. If you owe a lot, so I mean, if you owe a big farm debt, then that's something. Yeah, so I'm not really sure what to tell you on that one. Kratos, do I have a legal right to inform my employer? Explain my current employment. Tells me that I must inform them via email 1 month before leaving, but I don't trust the agency or my employer. Well, Kratos, you have a legal obligation 1 month before leaving, but if you don't know you're leaving for a month, how could you possibly do that? Thank you for the 70 Rand super chat. If you find out 3 weeks before you're leaving, then feel free to notify them. You won't need that employment anymore. And if they sack you, then they sack you. But if you tell them now you're leaving and you haven't even got a plane ticket, you don't even know if you're going to be accepted as refugee, then you're cutting your own throat. Filling in the fake info was just curious if something would have been done about it. No, there's nothing we can do to those people. Until they sue you and you say, pay your debt, people. It can bite you where you don't want it to. Yep. Matthew says, thanks, Colonel, for everything you do for all of us and for taking your time to make sure everything you tell us is already done, your homework. Yes, I don't give you nonsense. Like earlier, I asked the person who said that they're giving interviews in Cape Town and Durban, where did you get that from? And they didn't answer. And then someone else said, no, they just got a phone call and they were asked Joburg, Pretoria, and they lived outside of those areas. So, you know, I'm not going to mislead you. Oh, okay, Anton, thank you. I mean, refugees in other countries say, no, they're not living in military. We have no military forces in Kenya that are protecting refugees. We have military forces in Chad or Uganda. No. There's no USA military secure zone. No. In fact, those people live horrible lives. That refugee camp of Somalis in Kenya that's been there for 30 years has 650,000 people living in a camp. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. No, they're not safer. They get robbed, they get raped, people get murdered there. No, it's not safer at all. So I hope I answered your question, Anton. Thank you for clarifying, because you only gave me part of a thing there. If you don't show up, it's legally known as abandonment. You're not legally required to work a month's notice, but don't expect to get paid if you leave effective immediately. Bloody snow on the mountain. Okay, cool. Hey, Andre. Thank you for your awesome program. Again, all the awesome program catches. Okay, cool. Okay. Paid double for 48 page. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Maxi passport. Notification of my birth was provided to embassy in May 1969. Whoever will be notified. No idea what you're talking about, Alan. You were born American, I thought, Alan, so you should have been notified to the U.S. Embassy. They issue birth certificates for Americans born abroad, as long as it's reported. Alley Cat, welcome to you. What is the DNA test about? Is there a DNA test? Just looking because I see it in the chats. The DNA tests are done to prevent fraud. I don't know if they're doing it for South Africa cases. I haven't heard that. But you can imagine Somalis say, these are my 10 children. And they try to bring 10 children over and find out only one of them is their child. That's why they do DNA test. Okay? To prevent fraud. I don't know that it's happening in the case of South Africa. That's going to come about because people are seeing the information on the Kenya site. 3 weeks to get your passport. Some people get it in 4 days. True statement there. Some people wait a couple months. Newly married women are still allowed to use their old name. Alan, I'm not going to answer that question. I don't know the answer on that one. I think you need to get it changed. Once we arrive in the USA and we want to travel, would we be traveling on our South? Yes, we'd be traveling Southern passport because you're a South African. You're not an American. You don't get an American passport. If you're going to travel, you have to travel on your South African passport. Simple as that. And if you're an American, your passport's going to expire. You're going to have to go to Washington, D.C. to get it renewed through the consular service at the South African Embassy. Varushka, we're getting conflicting information about what you're saying. Some people have told us they paid $600 for passport renewal. Some people say they paid $1,200. I don't know who to believe. Hansi Butts, when we're in the USA and the green card after a year and then a 5-year, we're going to renounce our citizenship. You don't have to renounce it. I wouldn't renounce your citizenship. Become stateless. You wait till you become an American citizen. Yeah, I know, Vera. I know people, the iOS, they're referring to statement of interest, but they're just confusing the chat. That's why I'm making a point. Where, may I ask, are the mines? If you're a miner, want to get in there. Gold and diamond mines. There's gold mines in Alaska, in California, in Idaho. Diamond mines, we don't have much in the way of diamonds in this country. Arkansas has diamonds. There aren't much of that. There's a lot of gold in America. Not much in the way of diamonds. Some diamonds, but we have lots of mines. Tariff is coming. That's right. All right, let's see what the poll says. We're at 998. Oh, can we get 2 more people to vote in the poll, and then we can close it up? Okay, 998 people voted in the poll. Cool. Anime says, if you don't pay the bank and don't hand over ownership documents, the bank can facilitate. They buy directly settlement and settlement quote the bank. Okay. Passport 6 on Maxi passport. Yeah, that's what I thought, Wild Mountains. That's what I thought the case is. But she's saying that Varushka said she had to pay $1,200. Maybe she got a Maxi passport. Once the U.S. will we be allowed to travel, for example, UK? Yeah, well, see, that's what the Canadian consultant tried to mislead people at the beginning of this. Oh, being a refugee is a black mark. It'll be in your passport. You'll not be able to go anywhere because you're a refugee. That's bullshit. Refugee is a legally recognized status around the world by the United Nations, High Commission for Refugees, and by every country that's a member of the United Nations. Being a refugee is a protected status. It's not a black mark. It's not something to be ashamed of. You've had to flee someplace and someone's giving you refuge. You can travel abroad. Yeah, absolutely. But you can't go back to South Africa. $600 for a new and renewed passport. Thank you. Business passport. Okay. Never heard of that. Worked at South Embassy in Mexico City for the last 10 years. If you apply for your passport outside South Africa, the price is double now. Okay, Johan. Thank you for not Johan. Joanne. Sorry, Joanne. Thank you, Joanne, for sharing that. My husband and I worked for security, then did not pay the guards, so they locked us in the guest house. Can we use that? Monique, Monica, that's not persecution. Did they lock you because you're white? If they locked you because you're white, then that's the case. Otherwise, it's not the case. What the hell's going on here? Did I get signed out of my account? YouTube is acting up here. Have I been signed out of my account? What the hell's going on here? YouTube is acting up here. Why am I verifying it's me? Screw you, YouTube. I'm in the middle of a freaking broadcast, you assholes. Signing me out of my account while I'm broadcasting? What the hell is going on with YouTube? My password didn't change 15 days ago. What the hell? What the hell is going on here? Yes, it's me, assholes. What the hell? I got signed out of my YouTube account while I'm broadcasting. What is that crap? What a bunch of crap. Yeah, it's the second time it's happened. It's insane. Yep, second time it's happened. Turning 21 in UK, will not want to miss it. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, YouTube does have issues. But I'm in the middle of a broadcast. At least they didn't end the broadcast. Right in the middle of the broadcast, and it signed me out of my account. I couldn't even reach my page. Anna says, I asked about declaration of money. You answered me, some people must be rich. I'm not rich. To sell my house, I would have more than 10,000. Sorry about that. No, Anna, it wasn't being sarcastic. Wasn't being sarcastic. Most people come on here and say they can't afford a damn passport. So, I mean, you know, obviously you haven't been watching this forever. Wasn't being sarcastic. Yeah, if you sell your house, you're going to have more than $10,000. Yeah. I actually know $4 millionaires in South Africa that will take advantage of this program if they're allowed. Yep. You don't have money to take over. See, there you go. I don't know, Bitter Ender. We're making assumptions. We don't know if that's true. No one's trying to hack my account. I think it has to do with one of the services I use. It logs in periodically. I need to just cancel that service. You're welcome, Vera. Yeah. What happened to JJ Erasmus? I don't see JJ. John Peter, welcome to you. But you're leaving, so. George. I don't see any JJ Erasmus here. I must have missed something there. Okay. All right. So what I wanted to cover in this stream was the South Africans who are betraying you with their lies, with leftist lies. So, so this story here I want to cover. Did South Africa's white refugees sell a lie to us? This is a correspondent in Cape Town, Tom Kennedy. And Tom Kennedy has some really nasty things online, so I want to cover this. This is a story from back on June 3rd. And so this is a while ago now, but I came across this story and I want to cover it. Where the heck is my... Hang on. There we go. So, a second group of white South Africans arrived in the U.S. last week as part of a refugee program put in place by the Trump administration, which alleges that members of the white Afrikaner minority are being racially persecuted. South Africa's crime statistics tell a different story. Well, Tom Kennedy, South Africa's crime statistics aren't germane, genius. They aren't germane. They're not germane to the story. So that's fake news. Doesn't matter about crime. I've talked about this repeatedly, unless the crime is because you're a racial minority, but crime isn't always the case. So Tom Kennedy is misleading people with the fake news on France 24. So there you go. Let's just take this story and go. Thank you, Sari Skuman, for the 140 Rand super chat. Thank you for that. So there are roughly 26,000 people murdered each year in South Africa. About 0.1% of those murders are farm attacks, which mostly claim the lives of black people, according to national police statistics. Well, the national police statistics, as we've proven, are fraudulent. They're dishonest. We had a farm murder occur in Brits, and it was listed as a home robbery. It was a farm murder. We've proven that. I know the people involved. I know who was murdered, and this just happened a few weeks ago. So those statistics are useless. But that's not germane. That's not germane. That's not why people are giving refugee status. Thank you, JJ Erasmus, for the super chat. Yep. Despite these statistics, President Trump has accused South Africa of allowing a white genocide. No, he didn't. He didn't. He didn't. He was asked that question in the White House, and he said that he wasn't convinced of it. So you're a liar, Tom Kennedy. You're a liar. He said, claiming Afrikaners, descendants of Dutch settlers being racially persecuted. You're also dumb, Tom Kennedy. Afrikaners are not the descendants of Dutch settlers. Afrikaners are descendants of Dutch, Germans, French Huguenots, Khoisan, some Indonesians, and, of course, other folks. Primarily Dutch, German, and French. But they're not descendants of Dutch. You're a liar. Months of heightened tensions between Washington and Pretoria peaked when the U.S. launched a refugee program for 49 white South Africans. Nope, that's a lie too. It wasn't 49, dumbass. It was 59, and it wasn't whites. It was whites and coloreds. So you're wrong there. Yep. But did the so-called Amerikaners sell us the U.S. a lie? The Amerikaners had nothing to do with it. Stupid people. Nick Serfontaine runs a commercial farm in Free State, which employs 600 people and generates 75 million euro in revenue. He told France 24 that people left the U.S. are not real farmers. Well, nobody claimed they were. And so, Nick Serfontaine, you're an asshole. You're an asshole. There you go, buddy. There you go. Somebody know Nick Serfontaine in the Free State? You're an asshole. You're an asshole. Yeah, that's what I said. I said it. Was that going to piss an Afrikaner off? Yeah, good. Because no one claimed they were farmers, dumbass. You deuce. No one claimed they were farmers. And most of them aren't farmers. It isn't a program for farmers. You're stupid if you believe that. And you're falling right in with this propagandist. South Africa is the most unequal country in the world, according to the World Bank. Not germane to this program. Much of the inequality comes from land dispossession that occurred in... No, it's not. It's not. It's not. Elon Musk is not a billionaire because he has land. Elon Musk is a billionaire because he's brilliant. Bill Gates is not a billionaire because he owns land. He bought a lot of land after he became rich. Stupid people say stupid things. Tom Kennedy. Native Lands Act 1913 is not relevant to the conversation. The ANC has run the country for 30 years. Serfontaine has played an active role in helping the government redistribute some land to the black population while ensuring that it's done in a legal and fair way. Trump cited South Africa's expropriation law as a reason to boycott the G20 hosted by South Africa. That's true. Serfontaine is not worried about expropriation of compensation. Yeah, because he's not a target. His land wasn't stolen in Polokwane. His land wasn't stolen in East London. His land wasn't stolen in Northwest. He says the real issue is making sure that emerging black farmers are properly trained in agriculture and have access to resources. Train the people, give them mentoring, give them monitoring. Yeah, okay. Despite some progress with land reform since the fall, white people own over 70% of farmland while representing 8% of the population. No. See, that's nonsense too. That's just propaganda. White people don't own over 70% of the farmland. In 2017, the most recent information, which is nearly a decade ago, commercial farmland, whites owned 72% of land designated as commercial farmland a decade ago. And it doesn't matter whether they're 8% of the population because 8% of the people don't own the farmland. That's stupid. That's a stupid content. Anyway, According to Patrick Sekwalawatia, his right-hand man who runs the Cernak Emerging Farmers Program, we don't want land grabs. We want to work together to produce food. Yeah, but that's nonsense. See, this is another nonsensical story. It's not about taking land for farms. It's about taking land to build shacks on. It's about taking land to own shacks on. That's what this is all about. In a few hundred kilometers away in Senegal, Tunis Pretorius tells a different tale. He said, sadly, because of wrong partnership decisions, I lost everything. He's been farming the Free State for 4 generations. He used to own 7 farms, but his father passed away. Consecutive droughts and bad businesses led to downfalls inherited in the agriculture business. He said the biggest challenge was getting finance. We started again, but the banks didn't want to help us. He condemns what he calls South Africa's Racist Expropriation Act, but he says the banks expropriate the most. Yep. And then they talk about YouTubers, but they don't talk about me. They talk about Willem Petzer. Willem Petzer. YouTubers like Petzer are not the first to propagate the false narrative that white people are being racially persecuted. That's not a false narrative, Tom Kennedy. You're a lying sack of shit. You're a lying sack of shit, Tom Kennedy. That's what you are. Feel free to tell him this, folks. He's a lying sack of shit. He's a propagandist. Yep. Anyway, nonsense. Nonsense. So here's an article by him too. So this will tell you how unreliable Tom Kennedy is as a journalist. France 24. South Africa's police minister suspended amid corruption allegations. That's fake news. That's fake news, Tom. That's not real. That's simply not fact. Tom Kennedy is wrong. He's wrong. But that won't come up. It won't load. I was trying to load it. Yeah, South Africa's police commissioner or minister has not been suspended. He's not been suspended. That's a lie. That's propaganda. See, fake news, propaganda. He was put on holiday, put on leave, not suspended. And here's another story by Tom Kennedy reporting. So this is just gratuitous. Trump hosts African leaders. That should be the headline. As aid cut threatens millions of deaths. Wow. That's not news. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, Tom Kennedy. On tonight's edition, U.S. President Donald Trump told leaders from 5 African nations that he was shifting U.S. approach in the continent from aid to trade. Also, Lesotho declared a national state of emergency. The fall of U.S. aid. This is propaganda. Just pure propaganda. That's what this guy writes. So there you go. There you go. Anyway. And this one here from Cyril Ramaphosa, his lies from back in the day, early days of this. You ready? They'll be back. White Afrikaners leave South Africa to be refugees in the United States. And a lot of nonsense in that story, folks. A lot of nonsense in that story, okay? So we're going to talk about this, okay? And I'm going to cover that right now. Well, at the end of that story, this is what he said. South Africa's president, resettlement in the U.S. marks a sad moment for those folks and something he believes may not last. As South Africans, we are resilient. We don't run away from our problems. If you look at all the national groups in our country, black and white, they've stayed in this country because it's our country. Now, black, white, and brown have fled the country. Have you been to Wellington? Have you been to Auckland? Have you been to London? Have you been to Ottawa? I have. South Africans, you can't swing a dead cat without running into South Africans, black, white, and brown, all those places who've been denied opportunities in your corrupt communist country, and they've fled as a consequence. I can bet you that they, the Afrikaners who left, will be back soon because there is no country like South Africa. Not a single one of the 59 people who left here, left there and arrived here on May 12th of 2025 have returned. Not a single one. So thank you for your input, Cyril, but you're full of it. And here's another story. This is leftist garbage. Rachel Savage runs this story in The Guardian, of course. We are privileged. Liberal Afrikaners reject Trump's white genocide claims. Trump has not claimed white genocide. You journalists have claimed that. Trump has not claimed that. That's just nonsense. In terms of being singled out for progressives, it's extremely painful, said Lindy Kortz, a history lecturer at the University of Pretoria. Kortz mentioned the phrase, ons is nie almal so nie. We're not all like that. She said the phrase is used by progressives to reach out across South Africa's divide without disavowing their Afrikaner or South African identities. Emil Myberg, a lawyer who grew up during the apartheid era believing the Afrikaners were God's chosen people, said, I remember when I was a child often hearing Afrikaners say that. The one who rules the tip of Africa rules the world. So we'd feel special. No one that rules Africa ever ruled the world. That's nonsense. Myberg disputed the claim that his culture was under threat, noting that he regularly attends Afrikaans book launches. In the circles that I move in, we do celebrate Afrikaans culture. Again, that has nothing to do with the refugee program. Utter nonsense. Zaharia van Niekerk, a 22-year-old fashion student who was raised bilingually to help her get into university, disagreed that the Afrikaans language of whom the majority speakers are now non-white, is threatened. Well, the majority speakers have always been non-white. It's not now. My whole family speaks Afrikaans. As long as I can speak it with my family, I'm not really concerned. Oh, that's fine and dandy. Emil van Maltitz, an economics graduate and father's son, disagreed. 21-year-old who speaks Sotho, Afrikaans, and English said most farmers are white Afrikaners, so it can easily be interpreted as racial targeting. I just think personally people are very vulnerable in those places. First off, that's a lie. Most farmers in South Africa are not whites. They're actually black South Africans in subsistence farming. That's most farmers in South Africa. So let's get that fact straight. So if you want to play that game, that's the reality. Somebody's living in the past. They refer to South Africans based on apartheid. Exactly. Exactly. And these are liberal Afrikaners. All right, I'm going to end the poll now. Got 1,033 votes. So we got 1,000. That's a sample. And of that, 9% yes. So about 95 people have gotten a call. It's not bad. What did NEK say? Going to go next time. I'll have all my questions written down so don't mess up. Irene, you didn't mess up. You didn't mess up, okay? Fox interviews with Mike Rowe about the open jobs. Yeah, he's great. Mike Rowe is fantastic. He's also from Baltimore, just like me. Thank you, Jerome, for subscribing. He's just like me from Baltimore. Stopped recording racing crimes in 2007. Exactly, Heinrich. Exactly. So how can they make the claim that most people killed on farms are black? They claim that those who claim that most people killed on farms are white, those who say that, like AfriForum Solidarity, are making unfounded allegations. But then they make unfounded allegations that most people that die on farms are black. There's no such statistic. Angelique says, I'm English and proud of it. Irish and German grandparents. Okay. Okay, thank you, Irene, for being here. Appreciate it. This country is very corrupt. Everything else is fake news. Mostly citizens get crap because they don't even know what there's done. Yep. Good luck buying land and working it here. If the politics don't kill you, the land might. Yeah, exactly. Sad is getting a bag of bricks and soap and rope for Christmas. They don't just give you citizenship. No, you have to declare you ain't South. No, you have to apply for citizenship. You don't declare anything until you go get citizenship. No one's going to force you to be stateless. I need to leave what little I have and so that I can pray, says Karen. Okay. When the statement of interest first became public, there was thousands of black people who joked about completing the form. No, I'm aware of that, Moshe. I was aware of it, and I cautioned them against doing it. Leave with pay, right. My kids know you get coal. What's 12-month interest-free loan? Not for the flight. If IOM pays for it, you get 6 months, then you're supposed to start paying it back. Interest-free. NDK gave 40 Rand super sticker. Thank you for that. Okay. So letter from embassy freeing you from South citizenship. No, you don't need a letter from. You don't need any letter from South. No. Stop. Enemy. You do not apply for U.S. citizenship until you've lived here for 5 years and obeyed the laws of this land. Okay. You do not. Okay. You do not. Okay. You don't renounce anything. You live in America with permanent residency. After 5 years of living here lawfully, you can apply for citizenship. When they process your application, when you take the oath, you're renouncing your citizenship. Don't renounce anything. Don't make yourself stateless. Don't. That's bad advice. You know, many expats who would love to come back but have started new lives. Yeah, no, a lot of people love to go back to South Africa, but it's unsafe for them, so that's why they're not there. Okay. If the father's not in the birth certificate and not in the child's life, will it be okay then? I don't know, Reetha. I don't think so. Because anyone can fill out a birth certificate without the father's name on it. It doesn't take away the rights of the father. Doesn't take away the rights of the father. JJ Erasmus, thank you for 35 Rand super sticker. Yes, Portuguese. I didn't finish. Portuguese as well. Yep. A name like Havanga is Portuguese. So. It's a slur. I know, Leone. That's why I corrected. He's an asshole. Tom Kennedy's a fool who doesn't know anything. And people like that have jobs. They get jobs. France 24 pays them to report fake news. Asking about U.S. citizenship when the time comes. Do we ask release? No, you don't have to worry about No, you don't worry about release. You just take the oath, America. Probably. My mother is almost 99. If I receive a call for refugee program, will she pass the medical? I don't know. What's the state of your mother's health, Antonelli? Does she have active tuberculosis? Probably not. Most attacks on white people are not happening on farms anymore. It's cities and towns. Yep, it's everywhere. Good night, Blonde Topaz. No, I haven't seen that like a boss. Mad Max says, so now we have Dia de la Mad. Yeah. Maybe open. Okay. How soon? My youngest used to say she doesn't like the taste of Afrikaans in her mouth when she was around 2 years old. Well, that's a shame. Don't renounce. Exactly. No need to. Hey, Roberto Wilco. There's Heinrich Shavanga. You should be able to get a Social Security number within less than 2 weeks. It shouldn't take 2 weeks. Hey, Hester Altenbach. You missed your question about husband's previous fraud case. I didn't see any question from you. If your husband is involved in fraud, that's not you. It's not going to affect you. Yellowstone. Well, Yellowstone's way out there, my friend. Unless you live near Wyoming. If you're in Colorado or Wyoming or Montana, Yellowstone's a long trip. Can Namibians also apply? No, they can't. Sorry, Sianru. They can't. It's not for Namibians. Has to be a South African citizen. Not a Namibian. You're welcome, Maze. The program is not open to Namibians. Sorry. All right, guys. 600 people. 898 likes. 898 likes. Cool beans. You're welcome, Angelique. I'm sorry about your daughter's pregnancy. How far along is she, by the way, if you don't mind? If you don't mind, how far along is your daughter? Thank you for your insightful, informative session, says Leslie. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Well, it's late afternoon now, so it'll just be evening. I need to get something to eat. Slept in 7 weeks. Oh, gosh, Angelique, that's not even long ago. Wow. Wow. 7 weeks. Wow. Wow. Okay. That's a tough one. I'm sure you guys are coming to grips with that. She's probably coming to grips with it, too. Wow. Thank you for sharing. Francois with a capital F. Been busy lately. Still need to pay bills. Okay, I've developed my patience. Okay, cool. Cool. Darlene, you're welcome. Okay, guys, time for me to wrap up. You guys have a good night. Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. We got 912 likes. Thanks for the Super Chat revenue. 2 membership renewals during the stream. Thank you for that. And it's my best. I did my best to answer all the questions. I'm sure I missed a few. No one should take offense. None of my responses, unless you're rude, are directed at anybody, okay? Oftentimes you ask a question here that's been asked many times, sometimes in the same chat. Like I've had one question asked like a dozen times here, and I answered it each time. But it is a bit tiring to do that. But a lot of times you ask a question that many other people have asked, and it needs to be amplified. So number one, I mention you not to embarrass you if I'm answering that question. I mention you so you know that I'm actually answering your question, and then I try to answer it, okay? So no one should take offense. No one. I've thrown no offense at anybody here. Nothing intentional. All right, thank you for your time. I don't know anyone else that's doing this. It takes a lot of time and commitment. So thank you all so much. Take care. Please watch the videos. Go watch the videos. I have a playlist on here for the refugee program, especially the latest one about the Kenya connection, okay? Cheers, everybody. Have a good night. God bless.